The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you, alongside Anthony Hardwick. Are you okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Okay,
you.
because I got nothing in my phone.
You got nothing? All right, do me a favor. Do that second one to the far left and see if that.
This one?
Yeah, see if that does that for you. Does that
Nope,
do that
I
for
can't
you?
hear you. I mean, I can hear you because I can hear you naturally, but I can't hear my phones.
You cannot hear your phones at all.
Nope.
Well, that's weird. All right. Well, no, actually, do the last one over, and then the third one over.
Okay, now I'm
you're good.
Now I'm
Okay.
good.
Yeah, somebody screwed around with that. How dare those people?
Don't be touching knobs in
Yeah,
our studio.
you don't touch
You
knobs
little-
in our
you-
studio.
You little
here.
wire gremlins.
Yeah, I mean that's that's just common sense. Don't touch knobs in our studios.
Come on.
Come on. I mean, it's just leave everything as is. We don't know what's getting pushed and what's
I want to
getting
hear
prodded.
myself talk.
I don't blame you. You have a wonderful voice. You should. It's angelic.
Don't try to flatter me.
I'm not trying to flatter you. I mean, my team's already kicking your team's ass this series.
Yeah, but who's ahead in the standings?
Well, I mean, you're kind of, sort of not. I mean, Chicago
you're
is now.
kind of, sort of one game back.
Well, Chicago's caught you guys.
I know. We're talking about the Indians Royals.
Okay,
right now.
well, it's one game, and Bieber's pitching tonight, so we'll be tied at the end of the night. I mean,
Bieber hasn't been locked down this year. He's 3-2 with like a 2.80 ERA.
Well, he's got 2 losses because the offense hasn't done
he has
anything.
I mean, his ERA is not like sub-1 or sub-2.
Well, he had one bad start.
All right, so we're fine.
He's had 4 really, really good
Fine.
starts, one clunker. And,
Our guy's ERA is only like 0.2 points ahead below your guys. So.
Yeah, that's
We'll
all right.
see.
I mean, you'll get us back when Mckenzie pitches because he'll wind up giving up 1 hit and 5 runs because he walks everyone. Honest to God.
That game was so weird last night.
Tristan McKenzie is now the new Nuke LaLoosh. I called Trevor Bauer Nuke LaLoosh. No, this guy fits Nuke LaLoosh even more. Don't be afraid to throw strikes, Tristan. And the scary part is his stuff is good enough to be as good as Bieber, but he doesn't have any control right now. I mean, he has no idea where the hell the ball's going, which should scare the crap out of every single batter trying to dig in. It's like, oh, I don't think I want to dig in because, this guy doesn't know where the hell the ball's going, and it comes in pretty quick.
I'm going to let it go. Good luck.
Yeah, we're just going to just sit back and, okay.
No, I mean, I keep hearing Indians fans complain about this offense, and I watched the last 2 games, and I'm like, are we watching the same team?
Well, Indians fans love to complain in general.
This offense, I mean...
And
they got shut down for like 5 innings last night, but when they needed offense, they got offense.
And I'm still hearing people like, oh, we have a good baseball team? Have you seen what this team has done in the last, week or so? I mean, they just did take 2 out of 3 from Chicago, and they're on the verge of winning a 3rd game tonight against Kansas City. I mean, at the very worst,
You split.
They're on the verge of splitting with Kansas City, which that's not a bad thing. Kansas City was in first place going into this series. So I don't understand where people are sitting back going, oh, we don't have a good baseball team. Shut up, you moron.
You moron.
Yeah, it's just stop. I mean, do you hear me sitting back saying, well, we don't have a good football team? I mean, you don't have a franchise caliber quarterback like Aaron Rodgers in Cleveland, but your team is getting better.
I think you started this whole rumor because I'm seeing trade talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Honest to God, somebody looked at my social media late last week when I said, and I even prefaced it by saying it's not going to happen.
Now ESPN's talking about it. You started something.
Listen, and here's what I will say about this. And ESPN has now taken this and ran, and it also said, oh, well, not only should the Browns trade Baker, they should trade 2 firsts in Baker and get and in Njoku and get Aaron Rodgers in their shutdown corner. And I'm like, no. I wouldn't offer Green Bay anything but a straight up deal. I'm not going to give them a first-round draft pick. Hell, you got a quarterback for the next 10 years if you want him. It's the argument that I said was, okay, here's a guy that has already won a Super Bowl. He's a much better quarterback right now than Baker is. There's no argument there. And all I would say is I will do it straight up. I ain't offering you a first-round draft pick. I'm giving you a guy 10-plus years younger. I'm not giving you a first-round draft pick. And again, this deal won't get done. There's no way it should get done. But I think if the Browns were to possibly think of striking while the iron's hot and getting a more established quarterback to win a Super Bowl, I'd be tempted to make the deal. But at the end of the day, it won't happen.
I'd rather have, right now, because of the stuff we talked about, the dynamic in the locker room and everything, I'd rather try to go talk Russell Wilson out of Seattle than Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's another.
If we were, it's, once again, this is like not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're going to go after a quarterback that's established,
and now you would have to throw a little bit more than Baker Mayfield out there. You'd probably have to throw that 2 first-round draft picks, and then at that point, I'd be like,
but then
I'm not sure I want to do that.
Let's say you get Russell Wilson and name a really. Name a really good Seahawks.
If I was really wanting to have some fun, DK Metcalf, but there's no way that Seattle would say
that. And plus, the Browns they have a full receiving.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you gave up OBJ, that would be kind of fun.
OBJ Baker for Russell and Metcalf.
Well, you'd also have to throw in probably a couple of first-round draft picks, which again, it won't happen. Cleveland's going to stay with their quarterback, but it's kind of hilarious that if I were the GM of Cleveland, I would do it straight up and not even worry about it. Comment has turned into, they should throw 2 first-round draft picks and Njoku and Baker and get Rodgers back along with a shutdown corner. What world are you living in? There's no way I'd give up 2 first-round draft picks because I'm getting a guy that's 38 years old. I'm giving up a guy that's 25. That's not happening. It's not. No, hell no. And, of course, I had some Browns fans that said, well, what about Josh Allen straight up for Rodgers? No, Josh Allen is a younger version, and no, it doesn't make any sense because he's been to the conference championship game. Call me when your guy gets to a conference championship game. I'm not trying to stir the pot or anything. I'm just telling you facts. Just saying. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, now that we got all that off our chest, we do have, thankfully, we had at least 2 games last night to get played because Austintown Fitch has the wonderful turf field. They can play in the rain if it's not lightning. They can just we're going to go out and play.
Can we right now just talk about the greatness that is that turf at Austintown? Because that's phenomenal. That truly is phenomenal. I mean, when I first umpired on it in 2019, I was like, "This is weird." I mean, it's the batter's box is brown. Everything is like brown, like it's supposed to be dirt. And I'm like, "Oh, well, this will be pretty cool." And I walk on it, and I'm like, "Wait a second, this isn't dirt. What is this?" what kind of sorcery do you have going on here, Fitch? And I was like, wow, this is, the more I walked on this, the more I did some games, I was like, no, this is actually really cool. This is a great idea. And again, you don't wear spikes because you'll destroy that whole thing. But, I can see why Fitch decided to go turf because it makes perfect sense. I mean, as long as it's not lightning, as long as it's not pouring down rain, this thing's perfect.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get the game in. So the Fitch softball team won their second AAC championship back-to-back for the first time since 1998, 1999 for Fitch. And they did it with a 4-0 shutout of Boardman. Man, Lydia Spalding continues to impress. I mean, Boardman's lineup is not a slouch. It's very hard to navigate, and she threw a one-hitter.
You kind of wonder.
In a season, where, by the way, where she hasn't really had to pitch complete games all that often.
No.
So sharp, very fresh, 7 innings, 1 hit, very impressive.
This is one of those things, and you and I talked a little bit about the Boardman-Fitch matchup and how Boardman jumped into the Fitch district without playing Austintown Fitch in the regular season. I'm wondering now if Boardman has buyer's remorse.
I don't think so.
And look, I mean, I think they get to a district championship game.
Boardman competed. They were the Madison Lester threw a really good game. She held Fitch's high-powered offense that has scored 20-plus runs multiple times down to 4 runs. Very respectable outing. Unfortunately for Lester, she just went up against Lydia Spalding, who just had everything that night and threw a one-hitter. But how many times is that offense going to get one hit, even with how good Lydia Spalding is? So you have to assume that, they both have a secondary pitcher they can go to. We'll probably see both of them on Friday when those two teams play at Boardman. Probably see Catalhorto versus Kayla Schubert. So I think that matchup will be interesting to see how both these teams match up with both their second pitchers going up against each other.
And it's not like, Fitch bombed them. I mean, they scored 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. They only had 6 hits in the ball game. I mean, it was
2 errors, so it's not like
it was a well played game by both teams. I mean, you gotta cut the errors down, but when your pitcher's throwing a one hitter, I mean, you don't necessarily you're not necessarily going to get punished too much if your pitcher's only giving up 1 hit. And by the way, she's punching out 14 and only getting 1 walk. So what do we got? 3 extra base runners. So 1 inning worth of extra base runners. That's not too bad.
Imagine that strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, 14-1.
Yeah, 14-1 is not too shabby. I'll take that any day of the week. But we talked a little bit about the D1 tournament and how Boardman. There's a pretty legit chance Boardman can get into a district championship game. In all likelihood against Fitch, and who knows what happens there. Anything can happen.
I think I'll have to look at the bracket again to make sure. I think Canton Hoover is the team that will try to have something to say about that in that district. Because a lot of teams avoided Austintown. A lot of the 4, 3, those teams kind of
the 2, 3, and 4 all avoided Fitch. The 5 seed is Hoover, and then Boardman, I believe, is a 10 seed. So the 1, 5, and the 10 are the 3 big seeds that are in the Fitch district, if I'm not mistaken.
You look at it. Fitch is going to play the winner of Canton Glen Oak and Kenmore Garfield, and that's the 20 seed and the 31 seed. So they're guaranteed to play at least 20 seed or higher in the sectional championship.
Yep.
Their next game is a winner of Twinsburg and Chardon. That's 8 versus 27. No disrespect to Twinsburg, you expect Chardon to win that game.
Of course.
Because as parity as the Division I is, we're talking like 10 through 18 all can beat each other, and probably 10 through 5 are probably pretty even as well. And then there's probably a lot of disparity between 5 and 1, and just like we saw in basketball and volleyball and whatnot. And then at the bottom, Canton Hoover will play the winner of Howland and Harding, right? So Howland maybe a little bit underseeded at 21. We've seen them a couple of times look very, very good. They have 12 home runs as a team.
If Howland plays their A game, Hoover could be upset.
And then Boardman awaits probably the toughest sectional final because they have probably the 12 seed in Minner coming to Boardman if Minner's able to take care of business and beat the 32 seed Brush.
Brush them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mentor will come in 10 versus 12 in the sectional final on May 12th. I mean, so Boardman is going to be tested right out of the gates. And I think that'll help them. I mean, if they're able to win that game, that'll help them because they're not going to walk into if numbers play out, they're not going to walk into the Hoover game with, a false sense of security or a false sense of confidence and kind of look flat in that game. They're going to be extremely tested right off the gate in the first tournament game.
Well, I agree with that, and I would not discount any teams up in the Cleveland area. I mean, they've been known to have better products than us in all sports. So it would be, I think it would be a very difficult matchup for Boardman. Not out of the question, though, especially if Boardman is on their A game. Right. Certainly not out of the question. So Fitch knocks off Boardman. They get the All-American Conference championship with the victory. They're 15-1. They're going to try to finish undefeated in the AAC. I don't know if they're playing the game back at Fitch.
It's scheduled to be at Boardman on Friday.
Okay.
Night. So, whether who knows if it's they'll easily move that back to Fitch if it's raining and just say, Boardman, you're the home team. You'll bat in the bottom, but we're just going to play it Fitch.
It's supposed to, at some point today, from what I understand, it's supposed to stop raining, and then it's not going to rain again, possibly until Friday. So one would think, okay, if we, depending on how fast this rain stops, if we get about a 40-hour reprieve or something near that, maybe it gives the fields enough time to kind of get a little dried out so we can play some baseball and softball this weekend.
What a brutal time for a rainy week.
It's horrible.
The week right before tournaments. So every team's, silver lining, every team's going to be fresh, but also every team might be a little bit rusty. It's going to be who handles this little week off, per se, better, and then who can get some games in the weekend.
Yeah, and you certainly wanted to go into the game or go into the tournament on some kind of a rhythm, and this just all the rhythm has been thrown out the window because hardly anybody is playing. Now we did get one softball game, we got one baseball game down in Salineville of all places.
Well, yeah. And we also had Fitch baseball play East.
So Southern got a victory over Palestine, 15-0, a one-hit shutout for Mr. May. 14 punch-outs, 3 walks. Southern gets the victory. It's a 5-inning job. They jumped all over East Palestine, scored 12 runs in the first 3 innings, 15 runs in the first 4 innings. Palestine had just 1 hit. They committed 3 errors. It was a Southern dominant victory for the Indians, and I don't know how good Southern is in the EOAC this year, but they're Division 4, so they'll be heard from in the tournament, I guess.
Well, yeah, we're going to see. The seedings will come out this weekend for baseball, and it'll be interesting to see where teams like Southern, teams are in the middle of the pack in these conferences, kind of fall.
Yeah, from what I understand, the tournament draw was supposed to be coming out this weekend, but it might be sooner. I honestly don't know. What I do know is we did a little bit of investigating in the as far as the regional tournaments are concerned. D4 regionals for the Struthers and the Fairport Harbor District are going to be up in Strongsville. That's in Division 4. Division 3, the Struthers and Niles District winners will be playing in Massillon. By the way, they won't play each other in the regional semifinals, nor will the Struthers and Fairport Harbor teams play each other in the regional semifinals. So there is a chance we could have an all local regional title game in D4 and D3.
Struthers, of course, is the games being held at Scene Park.
Yes, yeah. Now Division 2, the Louisville and the Struthers district winners will play each other in the regional semifinals. So you could very well be seeing a Canfield-Louisville all YSN family type of a tournament in the regionals. However, the regional tournaments they have not been officially announced yet. Half of the region has, but the Region 5 and Division 2 has not been announced where they're going to play those games yet.
And I think softball has all been announced. I think the Akron for Division 2, Massillon for 3,
and Akron, Firestone
for 4.
Yep.
And then for 1, I'm going to go look because I can't remember off the top of my head where the 1 region is. Akron. For Division 1. So 3 out of the 4 regions will be in Firestone, and then of course Division 3 will be played at Massillon Washington High School.
Yeah, and Division 1 in baseball, and I'm assuming that Fitch and Boardman and Harding and whoever else, and I believe those are going to be the only 3. I assume that they will go to Canton or Barberton, but the regional tournaments will be held in Louisville, just outside of Canton, on our side of Canton off 62.
And in softball, there aren't just regions at Firestone Stadium. There's also districts that are being held at Firestone Stadium.
Man,
so there are some teams that are getting a lot of reps.
I don't understand that. I don't understand how the OHSAA could allow that because
it's like there's an Akron region. I mean, an Akron district in Division 2 that's also in the Akron region.
All right, so.
And like St. Vincent St. Mary plays their home games at Firestone.
Okay. How good are they this year?
They're middle of the pack.
All right, so they're probably not going to be a district champ. But let's go down this road for a second. And one of the Akron teams who's playing in a district tournament, we're a really good team. We're going to get to the district tournament, and we're going to play the 2 games at Firestone, and we win the district, and we stay there for the regionals. And we win the regionals. So we've already won 4 games at Firestone. Now we're going to stay at Firestone and play the state semifinals. There is a chance that one school could have already played in 4 games in this facility. You cannot tell me with a straight face that is not going to give them an insane amount of advantage going into that. But it's going to be a substantial advantage.
Because unlike basketball, where depth was an issue, and you have to get used to the court, softball and baseball, you step up to the plate. Maybe not in baseball because they're playing at Canal Park, which will be much bigger dimensions than their normal high school field.
I think so.
Softball, you're pretty much straight 250 to center, 220 down the lines. You're not going to see too many that vary too much from that. So you step on the field in softball, I mean, besides the crowd and the atmosphere, which we don't know if they're going to be full capacity anyway, everything else is just kind of, you're playing a softball game. So I don't know how much of an advantage it'll be to have experience at Firestone, especially if we don't have full capacity crowds, because you won't have to get used to that huge stadium atmosphere. So I don't know.
Is there something different about the field, though? Does it have a quirk that other fields don't have?
Other than being extremely nicer. I mean, this like the dirt is weatherproof, and the outfield is up to pro standards, and not much. I mean, you get your own locker room.
Okay. I mean, if someone, especially the infielders, they're going to have I think they're going to have somewhat of a better advantage.
Yeah, because the dirt is like nicer, so it's going to bounce a lot easier than your typical high school fields that maybe don't have the nice dirt.
Yeah, hit a pebble and take someone's eye out. Yeah, that's or you have a lip where the grass and the dirt are kind of together. Ball hits that and ricochets all over the place.
But let's be real. Most teams that get that far have pretty nice fields to begin with.
I would agree with that.
You look at most of the good teams in the area that then have a legitimate shot of getting to region/state. You got a pretty nice field that you're playing on anyway.
No, I
minus
agree
maybe
with that.
Poland. Poland needs a terrible upgrade in the worst way.
Well, their field isn't bad.
They got a giant hill in right field.
Well, you're talking to softball.
Yeah, there's
okay. Yeah, all right. I was talking
Okay.
baseball, where their field wasn't
Yeah.
bad. Okay. Well, yeah. If you have a giant hill in right field, then that's that's kind of a.
Yeah.
Hey, I got it. If somebody give me somebody.
By the time you get to the fence, you're like 2 feet higher. You can just.
Yeah.
I got it. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. I'm a little bit taller here.
Firestone does have a taller outfield fence than you see in most high school stadiums. I mean, it's good 5 feet tall.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
I like that because then it used to have the portable fences, and it drove me crazy watching professional players because you're already elite, and all you have to do to get a home run off that is just lean over the fence and catch it. You didn't have to really jump to rob a home run as a professional softball player. So it's like let's fix this, and they did. And now you have to make an acrobatic play to rob a home run at Firestone.
Yeah, but is it a wooden fence where you can really kill yourself if you run too hard on it?
It's a gate fence with like the a red covering that says Akron Racers.
Okay.
So it's a gated fence, but it doesn't have the, you're not hitting just the gate. You're hitting the cover plus the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in minor league ball. They used to have the wooden fences, and they still have the wooden fences. Very few of them are padded. Oh boy, those outfielders start going up against the wall and run into the wall. It's not like in the major leagues where you're running into a padded wall.
You did the South Range State game there.
No,
back in 2016, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay, you did the champion game.
I did the champion girls softball game.
Right.
Yeah.
So you didn't do the South Range Girls State game?
I didn't do the South. No, I did the South Range Girls again. Well, against Wheelersburg.
Remember that home run the South Range player hit that went over the second fence in Firestone?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was in my home run call. The damn ball was already over the second fence. I was like, what the hell? That ball was shot out of a cannon. I was like, track wall, bye. Now in baseball, you can have some fun with it because if you know the ball is going to be leaving the yard. Boy, in softball. You don't have fun with that. It's okay. It's
much like the whole game. It's just a lot faster. Like let's go, let's get the ball, let's pitch.
It's amazing how fast that game goes. I remember we had when Champion won I think it was when South Range went to the state title game. They beat Champion.
Yeah, in the regionals.
In the regionals, and we had that game, and. Jim Campbell was broadcasting that game, and I was back doing the the board work where I was making sure that commercials were played back at the station, and we were 5 innings into that game, and the game was 45 minutes long. I'm like, Jesus!
Yeah, but I remember that game. It was like South Range scored 5 in the first inning, but after that, it was like straight up.
Oh, it was
straight up,
unbelievably great pitching.
Yeah,
it was incredible. I'm like, how the hell do you get 45 minutes in 5 innings? I mean, you can't even play 3 innings in 45 minutes in baseball.
Right.
You struggle to. These kids were boom, 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 boom. I'm like, okay, yeah. That's that. I think Rob Manfred would look at this and go, this is what I want.
Yeah, let's have. Well, in softball, you have 10 seconds to get the pitch off after you catch it. So I mean, Manfred, 10-second pitch clock. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that would be a treat. That would be a treat.
I mean, Fitch baseball got the 18-1 win over East. They played last night, by the way. And then I got a text from Matt Seidel. They played at Southern because Southern, like Fitch, has turf for their baseball team.
Yep. And it's amazing to me that a school as small as Southern Local, and it's Salineville is they are, that's a small community. It's amazing to me that they have a turf baseball field. Of course, this is the same school that also has a turf football field. Whatever they're doing in Salineville with the athletic department, keep it up because they're ahead of the trend as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty amazing what that program is doing.
Just got an update from Steve Leslie. It'll be no games at Scene Park today for baseball.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's unfortunately, with the bad weather that's been going on, it's going to need at least a day to dry out, and hopefully tomorrow, where we're calling for a lot better weather, and again, depending on how soon the rain stops today and into tonight, and when the sun comes out tomorrow. That sounds like a song.
The sun comes out tomorrow.
Didn't Hootie and the Blowfish
sun will
sing
come out tomorrow?
No.
Oh, I thought that's what you were going for.
No,
I was like, that's not Hootie and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the Blowfish sang a song with the lyrics, and when the sun comes out tomorrow, I'm gonna have to look it up. But anyway, when the sun comes out, hopefully it dries out the 3 fields so we can have some baseball at Scene Park.
Well, since we don't have too many games to talk about from last night, we can also say that we put this out there a little bit earlier that on May 10th, starting May 10th, which is next Monday, every day on the Power Hour, we will be announcing players that have made the all YSN teams for baseball and softball. Every YSN team will be represented, and we worked as a YSN staff. We worked pretty hard to put this together. Had a good meeting about it, so we're excited to announce the players that are going to be on this list for every school, and you can look for that on the Power Hour next week, starting on Monday.
Should be fun. Look, there's a lot of really good players that
some
deserve
schools
a
are
little
hard.
recognition.
Some schools are really hard to pick. 1 or 2. We had to just kind of, because obviously we have to pick one from every school.
Sure.
So.
And schools that are struggling. That's a tough call because there are some schools that are struggling this year.
What was fun though? I mean, when we really went through it, even the teams that had like a struggling record, you look on their roster and you can pick maybe 1 or 2 players that they're solid players. They know what they're doing. They're out there making plays. There aren't too many teams in this area. In fact, I can't even think of maybe 1 or 2 that really don't have at least 1 or 2 players that are really putting together something good this year. Even if their teams are struggling, doesn't mean that they're not putting in the hard work and putting up the numbers that deserves praise for the all YSN team. So
no, I agree.
A lot of talent in this area, even on the teams that are struggling.
Yeah, agreed. I over the weekend had an opportunity to umpire a couple of games involving the Canfield freshman team. Oh, dear God, is that team good?
Don't scare people, Ron.
Oh, my God, is that team good?
Because, the core of their team aren't seniors, so they're coming back next year, too.
Look.
So if you start telling people their freshmen are good.
Look, and Canfield's head coach, he's already said, thanks a lot for putting a bullseye on my back, because we've had such great expectations for that baseball team. And I surely don't want to double down, but I'm going to double down. The window for this program in the next 4 years, oh, wow. I saw the two starting pitchers that I saw, both of them were lights out, potential-wise. Just the one in particular, Jake Schneider, who's about 6'4"-ish. He plays all 3 sports at Canfield. I got to believe Pavlansky, Mcilroy, and the baseball coach.
Middle.
Yeah, they all should be in a steel cage and have a triple threat match, and the winner gets him for the whole year, and just go from there. Because this kid,
I'm sure their students would love that.
This kid is, oh goodness, this kid can throw the baseball. He is. And he's left-handed, and he drove the Willoughby South coach absolutely nuts because there were a couple of kids that were on base, and he had the perfect, typical left-handed pitcher type of move where everyone's screaming block, and he's not blocking. So it was hilarious to watch some of those kids lose their mind on the other side of the dugout. Say, how can you say this isn't a block? I'm like, he's not blocking.
He's just left-handed.
He's left-handed. He's not blocking.
What's really scary about that team, though, is you could argue that next year they should be better than they are this year. Because all those players that are juniors this year will be seniors, and they'll have one more year of experience under their belt. And man, it's hard to think of this team being better than they are right now.
Well,
But like this is their get ready year. Next year is their shine year, if you really think about it, because everyone will be seniors. Holy smokes!
yeah, and again, Coach Niddle, we really don't mean to, we really don't mean to put any
We're taking out the paintbrush.
pressure.
We're painting it on the back.
I'm just,
at this point, even if we didn't do it, you guys are undefeated. It's happening. The target can't get much bigger.
I'm sorry. You guys are such a great team, and we can't stop talking about how great this program is. And again, it's not just the varsity program. The junior varsity program is ridiculous. And it's not just the junior varsity program. The freshman program is incredible.
And their youth baseball program.
And their youth baseball program is sensational. And the fact that it's just, I don't want to say a factory, but goodness, are these guys... They just have everything where it should be, and that's just a credit to the organization. It's a credit to the Canfield Athletic Department. It's a credit to the Baseball Association in Canfield. Everyone's on the same page, and it's great when you see a program where everyone's on the same page. Not just the varsity program, but all the way back. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone is putting forth an ungodly effort on the baseball field. It's fun to watch Canfield baseball on all levels. It just is. They're such a great program.
I just keep thinking about next year, and well,
there's some seniors that would kind of like to sort of celebrate.
I know. I'm just like there are seniors on that team, and we're not gonna shortcome them, but at the same point, like the core of that team are juniors, underclassmen.
Oh yeah.
And you're thinking like, imagine if they make a deep tournament run this year. Let's say they get to the state championship or whatever, and they don't make a state championship, they don't win it. The experience that will bring into next season.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, absolutely, and
because that's the one thing they haven't experienced is a deep run in the tournament.
Absolutely, and again, I think that the next 4 years at Canfield High School, I won't specifically say the expectations. I mean, I'll leave that to Coach Niddle and everyone, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team made 4 really, really, really deep tournament runs and just was a constant. It wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. I walked off the field Saturday afternoon. First of all, I walked off looking like a lobster because I didn't put suntan lotion on. Shame on me. Exactly.
I'm doing this. Where's my sunblock?
Exactly. I'm like, where's the water? Where's the water? Where's the hot water? I'm about to be thrown into it. But I walked off that field and I just shook my head. I was just that impressed with the program. Just an absolutely fantastic baseball program. And kudos to Coach Niddle and everyone in that coaching staff. Oof. Man, it was fun. Hopefully, I get to do some umpiring tonight. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, you won't divulge where you're scheduled to be.
No,
you are scheduled to be somewhere tonight.
I am scheduled to be somewhere
Can you say
tonight.
if it's a field that you expect to be okay with the moisture?
No, because that will really significantly...
well, we know it's not at Scene because Scene's already been canceled.
No, that's already been canceled. I'm still holding out hope, so we'll... I was holding out hope earlier this
tonight?
week. No, I'm doing...
JV?
I believe I'm doing freshman, if I'm not mistaken.
Because if you said JV, Paul Munson
would
be on red alert.
No.
Red alert.
No, I think I've done enough of his games. Those... We'll leave it at that. That was fun. It's always fun to do games when Paul is the coach.
Oh,
He absolutely loves to have some fun. And again, you talk about another program. Wow, their varsity program is solid. Their JV program is solid. I haven't done any of their freshman games. I don't even know if they have a freshman team or not. But I mean, year in, year out, South Range is. And it's amazing. We've talked about this. When you win a state championship, you immediately have a little cachet, and it's amazing what a state championship team can do to improve your program and help your program out.
When you win that state championship, for the next until those players, all those players that were on that roster graduate, you have this standard that everyone knows this is the standard because those kids know what it took to get there and they want to get back.
Yep.
So even if South Range hadn't won a state championship the next year, and obviously they didn't, the winning standard is there, and it drives home. And if the leaders on the team do a good enough job, it'll be there after they leave. And absolutely, South Range leadership is second to none as far as what those players are able to do to lead the team. I mean, you talk about Jake Herring. We talked about him with Coach Hannick. He's not playing this year, but he hasn't missed a game in the dugout, and he's accepting that role as a leader and almost coaching these kids instead of playing. And a lot of kids that going through what he's gone through would not have handled it that well.
No, agreed. Agreed. And kudos to Ohio State as well. There's no talk of Ohio State yanking his scholarship based on the fact that he had Tommy John surgery. Yep. If anything, they're just saying, hey, when you graduate, get yourself down here so we can have the doctors make sure that you're on the road to recovery, and we'll go from there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got redshirted 1 year and then just go from there.
Yeah, that makes complete sense because he's not going to be available in 2022, and if he is, it's going to be toward the tail end of the 2022 season, and you might as well redshirt him at that point. And I don't know what Ohio State looks like in terms of their whether they're going to be a strong contender for a Big Ten championship next year or not. But I do know they're getting a hell of a pitcher when Jake gets better.
I'll tell you,
it's oof.
If we flip to the other side of Ohio State and their softball team, Allison Smith, who graduated from Champion, she's having a phenomenal freshman season, leading the team in strikeouts by a huge margin.
Nice. How are they doing? How is the team doing?
They're like 500. It's a tough Big Ten. They haven't been embarrassing, but they haven't been phenomenal. Probably won't make the tournament this year, even though they've been a program that is usually in there. But the same thing. I mean, she split the innings almost 50-50 with another pitcher. Leads the team in strikeouts. Leads the team in complete games. It's wonderful to see her come on to the team and make an immediate impact as a freshman in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and more importantly for the Champion program and Coach Weaver, you've now established a pipeline from Champion, Ohio down to Columbus, Ohio, where if your kids are good enough, you can go down there.
Of course, Sophie Hal also on that team is a part of the YSU Horizon League Championship. She pitched a couple innings in that series against Cleveland State, but man, she's been having to sit behind some incredible pitchers, and she's accepted that well too. I mean, she's come out of the bullpen, pitched well, and she's done a good job accepting her role. So both those players, dramatically different roles, both of them doing a good job in accepting what they're given.
Listen, I defer to you for all the softball talk, but I will say this, at least in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, the fact that Sophie Hal has not pitched all that much and comes out of the bullpen, when those two starters are gone, oh boy, YSU's window is pretty big considering all of the pitching talent that they have right now.
Especially when they're bringing in Bree Kohler next year too.
Yeah.
And of course, Maddie Lusk will be leaving, but they'll still have Buffenbarger. And then she'll be leading that staff, and then you'll have Sophie Hal behind her, Bree Kohler coming in, a couple other freshmen coming in. And then when you have Conchetta Rinaldi leading that staff from behind the plate, calling her own pitches, by the way. YSU does not have a pitching coach this year because it was one of the victims of the COVID setbacks that the athletic department had to cut back some coaches, and unfortunately YSU lost their pitching coach. But Conchetta Rinaldi is just like,
don't worry about it.
I got it.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of catchers call their own games. Even in college, you don't. And it's really fun to see her really control that staff and call the pitches. And I think everything that staff succeeds in, she has a hand in. So Sophie's really lucky to have that set up too.
Well, I mean,
a catcher that knows her because played in the same area,
sure,
has seen her plenty of times.
Sure,
that stuff too.
Well, and obviously next week when we have the Horizon League tournament next weekend, It's going to be fun to have the first tournament in the Horizon League to be held at Farmers National Bank Field on the campus of Youngstown State University. That's just going to be a lot of fun, and obviously YSU's the favorite because they won the regular season championship. Hopefully they deliver the goods, and we get this team into the NCAA tournament.
And YSU gets to show off their nice digs. I mean, that field is incredible. The turf in the back, and then the outfield bleachers, stand ball in the backdrop, McDonald's in the backdrop. In case you hit one in the parking lot, you win a Big Mac. It's all good.
How big of a poke is it if you put it into the parking lot at McDonald's?
I've only seen it once.
Okay.
And it was Stevie Taylor a couple years ago who played at South Range in her high school. Hit one in the parking lot, and I was just like, if you get it there, you hit it really hard. It's not a cheap home run.
So you get a Big Mac if you put one in the parking lot.
That's what we call it.
I mean, you might as well. I mean, it's Big Mac territory. Right. A little tip of the hat to Mark McGuire, even though he probably was ingesting some interesting things. We'll leave it at that, but still
outside of Big Macs.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was ingesting a little bit more than Big Macs, but we'll let that one go. But no, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. I think that YSU gets to show off a really cool facility, and hopefully, I know it's going to be a few years if they do it. Hopefully, the baseball team will have a new facility down the road to show off as well, because I think that would be the next logical step. I just don't know where the hell you would put it. Probably in the old Smoky Hollow neighborhood over by the MVR.
Have they hosted a Horizon League tournament before at Eastwood? That's where they would host it, right?
I want to say they have, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I want to say the last time they went to the NCAA tournament, 6 years ago? I want to say it was either at Eastwood or it was at Wright State. I'm not 100% sure. And I was out of town the first time. The first time they went to the NCAA tournament was the late '90s, and I was in Texas with the one of the first minor league teams that I worked for. I was already down there when they went to the NCAA tournament. I'm not sure how they got there, but I know that they went to the Texas Regional and got beat 2 times rather soundly. One by the Longhorns, and the other one I can't remember which team beat them, but they were both beaten very soundly. But 6 years ago, they actually won a game in the double elimination NCAA tournament. So there was some progress made. Hopefully this year, and we talked a little bit about this with Coach Bertolini. I mean, you have 8 conference games left. All 8 of those games are going to be played at Eastwood, where the Penguins are 10-2 against opponents in the Horizon this year at Eastwood. So one would expect the Penguins to play extremely well in those 8 games, and you go to Louisville and take on a Bellarmine team, relatively new to Division I. So look, I mean, if the Penguins can be 9-3, 10-2, final 12 games, that's a pretty nice hot streak going into the tournament. And let's be honest, Youngstown State doesn't have to be scared of Wright State anymore.
No.
Wright State has 3 losses in the league this year, and all 3 of those losses came in the hands of one team, and that's Youngstown State. So they don't have that mysterious hold that they have on all the other teams in the Horizon League, because Youngstown State stood up to the bully and popped him upside the head a couple of times.
And if they do, are lucky enough to get into that tournament, then they can draw back on their series at LSU, because no matter where they go, they're not going to see too many teams that are much better than LSU, and they really competed with LSU. In fact, they pushed LSU to have a walk-off to win in one of those games. So they can really draw back and say, we belong here. We've proven we belong here. We played LSU. We held our own. and there's no reason why we can't win a game or two in these regions.
And we talked a little bit, Coach Bertolini and I talked a little bit about this. Colin Clark pitched incredibly well last weekend against UIC, to the point where if he can consistently do this from here on out, and not necessarily pitch a shutout every time out, but pitch a game in which he goes at least 6 innings, gives up no more than 2 runs, I think Youngstown State's going to be in every single game that he pitches in that scenario. Obviously, Colin Floyd's the best pitcher they have, and he rarely loses. So if you have these 2 guys in a double elimination tournament, I got a really good chance at winning the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. So, in a double elimination 4-team field, all I need to do is win 1 more game, and I go to the next round. Whether it's from the Horizon League to the NCAA or the NCAA to the Super Regional.
In the Supers, you just have to win 2.
I know, yeah, and all you have to do is win 2 games in the Super Regional. And again, even if I split with these 2 guys, okay, the final game of the series, I go with,
let the dice roll. Yeah.
Let the dice roll. Now, if you go up 1-0, do you sit back and say, we're going to hold Colin Floyd back and say, oh, we'll give you this game, but we're going to win the 3rd game?
That's interesting, because then, if you win the first game, you're guaranteed at least
a 3rd game. So do you
do you want to just take it and say we're going for the 2-0 sweep? I would, because it's like, hey, let's just, why give you another game? Why give you the momentum of game 3?
No, I get it, and I see both sides of that, because you can sit back and say, well, he's going to pitch his 3rd starter, where I can possibly pitch my 2nd or my, no, I wouldn't pitch
the other way around is like playing as if there's a chance you'd lose game 2, which I don't really like that. Getting in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that with your ace. You gotta pitch your ace in the first game. I mean,
right.
That just.
And when we've had that discussion in the past, we've been talking about high school, which is just lose and go home, which you can't afford to lose.
No, you can't.
Super's not exactly the same scenario.
It's a best of 3. So, obviously you pitch your ace in game 1. Well, if you win game 1, do you hold your number 2 back?
Do you though? But what if you pitch your 2 in game 1 and then have your ace for game 2 to finish it?
That's another interesting thing. Now, what happens if your 2 gets blown up? Now your ace
can at least force a game 3.
Well, yeah,
right?
But wouldn't you rather be up 1-0 and let your number 2 take take the chance? I mean, that's kind of tough.
College coaches get paid for a reason.
This is true. This is very true.
And we are not college coaches to get paid for these decisions.
No, but I mean that's a long way down the road. They still have to officially get into the conference tournament. There's still some unfinished business yet.
7.
The magic number is 7. Right now, Milwaukee is in 4th by a half a game, but Milwaukee's playing Wright State this weekend. This could get real ugly.
Who's in 5th? Like is the
Northern
team
Kentucky?
They have a chance, right?
Northern Kentucky's only a half a game behind Milwaukee. Right. Northern Kentucky plays Oakland, who swept Milwaukee last weekend, and they play them in north of Detroit. So,
remember when Milwaukee was the hottest team in the conference?
Yeah, I know. What the hell happened?
Things can.
Yeah, exactly.
YSU should look at that and be like, we can't have what happened to we can't have Milwaukee happen.
Well,
because we can be as hot as we want, but if all of a sudden we hit this dry spell,
and this is where I want to see what these guys can do against Purdue Fort Wayne. They're on an 11-game losing streak.
Right.
It doesn't look like Purdue Fort Wayne is interested in playing really good baseball.
In baseball, you just got to play them like they're the best team in the conference.
Absolutely.
Especially in baseball, and this is a cliche in every sport, but especially in baseball, anyone with a bat in their hand can be dangerous.
Yeah, and you're as good as your pitcher.
So
if Purdue Fort Wayne has a pitching staff that goes lights out, you got problems now. I mean that's. The power of the pitcher, I remember...
How much a pitcher's struggling, you got to respect them because they still get people out more than 5 out of 10 times.
I remember in 1972, Philadelphia won 54 games. I mean, they were awful. 54 wins, 108 losses, but Steve Carlton won 27 of those 54 games. So every time he pitched, that Phillies team wasn't awful. That Phillies team was elite because he was pitching,
right. And
you had a really tough. You could not take this team lightly because this guy was pitching. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, if somebody gets on the mound and is on their A game, I don't give a crap what their record is. If a pitcher's on his A game and he has his stuff going, you're in trouble.
Even if hitters hit 320 against this guy, which isn't a good average for a pitcher he's still getting people out 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So the advantage is still to him. So you got to respect every pitcher.
If I'm YSU, the lesson in last weekend is, okay, we lost 3 out of 4 to UIC. We can't take any of these teams the rest of the season lightly. We have unfinished business.
Did you talk to Bernalini yesterday about that mindset coming after the
loss?
Oh
yeah, and he's on. Yeah, he definitely knows there's unfinished business. You haven't clinched anything yet. You gotta win these games in order to clinch that. Now I've made a scenario that if you sweep Purdue, Fort Wayne, Purdue, Fort Wayne loses 4 to YSU, and Milwaukee or Northern Kentucky drop 3 out of 4.
You clinch this weekend.
That's it. You clinch this weekend and get ready for tournament baseball. The only thing that is now in question is whether you're going to be the home team against UIC or you're going to be the road team against UIC in the first round.
I wonder how that last season would be coached changes in any way if they clinch this weekend, know they're going into their highest league tournament. I wonder if there's anything that you would do differently if you Probably go into that last series knowing.
Probably not. Just try to tighten up some stuff.
Right.
Maybe play some kids, or get some of the.
That is your opportunity to get some of your kids experience.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If you go really, really deep into this double elimination tournament, because it's only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I think Sunday is the if necessary game. Mm-hmm. If you're playing these 4 days, you're going to go through a lot of pitching. So your pitchers had all better be ready to go, and that means you got to get them some time because the last thing you want is to, this guy hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. How effective is he going to be?
Right.
It's not going to be very effective, unfortunately. So, it's thankfully they don't have the BS rule like Major League Baseball where this pitcher has to face 3 batters. Thankfully, they don't have that crap that they deal with in Major League Baseball. So, all right, 330-886-0813. We got golf on our mind. We got to talk with the guru of golf, if you will. Mr. Tolnar is coming up next. We will talk about what's going on at Mill Creek, and we will also preview the upcoming tournament on the PGA Tour. PGA Tour is in Charlotte this weekend. We will talk golf with Brian Tolnar coming up next. Stick around.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. It's Wednesday, it's 1 o'clock, and even though it's probably not a good idea to try to go golfing right now because, well, you might hit a duck or you might put a ball into a lake that's not really a lake, but it's a lake right now because we got so much rain, we bring in from Mill Creek Brian Tolnar. Brian, how's everything going?
Not bad. We're building the ark.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a couple more days like the last two. We'll be in trouble. But
listen, don't expect me to go out and get a male and female chinchilla because that's not going to happen.
We've got jet skiing on the north course. We've got kayaking and canoeing on the south, but paddle boats on the range and hydro bikes. So we're all good. But hopefully this afternoon the sun's going to come out. If it looks good the rest of the way out today, and tomorrow looks good before the rain, I think, settles back in again on Friday. So as long as the weekend's clear, we'll be able to get some of the league play in and some of the tee times that we've got on the books. But the last couple days, lackluster at best after a hot start in the month of May over the weekend. So
okay, on a stretch of weather or a stretch of days involving inclement weather, what is the plan over there? I mean, because obviously you're not going to get anyone on the golf course, and if you do, it's going to be the diehards, and even then, depending on how wrecked the golf course is moisture-wise, it's not necessarily a good idea for anyone to be on the course. So, when it comes to situations like we are in right now, what exactly do you guys do over in Mill Creek?
Well, this was an easy one. The last couple days, we've been basically rescheduling golf lessons. I think I had about 7 or 8 yesterday, and about 6 or 7 on Monday, and then the 4 that I had today, pushing those into next week. So we're doing all of that, doing paperwork, paying bills. On the maintenance crew's perspective, we've got probably a whole semi-load of mulch that's getting ready to go down in our flower beds and around our tee signs. It's a good day to do that. So the folks have got everything cut in the last couple of days before the rain really come down pretty heavy. Obviously, leagues got washed out this morning. Last evening, we had a lot of standing water. We had some leagues that were willing to go out and play, but in fairness to the course and keeping it in good shape for the rest of us all summer long, we sort of called the dogs off there. As long as there's no thunder and lightning and the rain is pretty much done for today, we'll have our league play starting around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Business as usual. It'll be cart path only. It will be a little bit saturated, but it's definitely playable with the new drainage and stuff that we put in. It just takes a little while to clear off, but when you've got an all-day rain for several consecutive days, it certainly adds up. And fortunately for us, it's not a heavy rain, and you've got 2 inches in the matter of 20 minutes or a half hour. It's been a good soaking rain, and believe it or not, we needed a little rain, so it certainly helped out, with spraying chemicals, getting that washed into the ground and into the grass to keep the conditions good the rest of the way out. Now, to be honest with you, I could have our fill of rain, up to this point and be done with it today, and we'll be off and running. But the next 10 days, looks a little bit up and down. So we'll see where we're at. Do our best to get folks out there, but it's a great day to do a lot of prep and get ready for next week and shift things around when and where you can.
Here at YSN, the rain gives us a little bit of a chance to breathe a bit, a chance to try to find other avenues for content and stuff when we're not doing games, and a chance to give our voices a break for a night. So is it the same for you? The rainy days make you a little less busy, or are you just as hectic on a rainy day as you are if it's beautiful weather out?
I think we're just as hectic as a busy day. However, you do get to go home at a decent hour at like 5:30, 6 o'clock when everything's called off and your lessons are gone for the evening. So, I mean, it gives you some opportunity to make it home at a decent time to have dinner with your family in the summer. But so I tell my wife, as soon as March 15th gets here, I'm like, I'll see you at Thanksgiving, because that's pretty much, the way that we operate, and it's, full tilt. So when you do catch a rain day here or there, it's a great day to get all your paperwork done and get ahead for next week, and obviously prepare for this show, and you have some time to be able to bounce around and do things that you need to do that you'd normally be doing whenever you can squeeze it in. But being able to spend some time with your family and make it home and eat dinner at a normal time like everybody else does is pretty cool too.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek, he is our PGA guru. Before we get into the weekend that is in the PGA Tour, the Wells Fargo Championship at the Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte, I got to ask, because, we didn't ask last week, and we talked all kinds of talk about the private lessons that you do over at Mill Creek. How much money is a private lesson or a series of lessons at Mill Creek, Brian?
It depends. We've got a couple different options when it comes to golf lessons. Individually, we have a 30-minute rate, and we also have a 30-minute rate for seniors and juniors, 17 and under and 60 and over. Both Stacy, myself, and our assistant, Ryan Turnbull, who just started here a couple weeks ago, will all be available to give golf lessons. We also offer a 60-minute package, and then we also have, in the same lines as golf lessons, which we're doing a lot, especially beginning of this year, and with our demo day that we have on Saturday with Callaway Golf, we have some club fittings available too. We do a 45-minute club fitting for $50. If you buy the clubs here, obviously we don't charge that. We waive that or take it off the final purchase of your clubs. But golf lessons range anywhere from $35 for a half hour up into about $75 for an hour lesson, depending upon what category that you fall into. So it's right now we're heavily saturated with golf lessons, which is a great thing, because bringing the folks that we brought back into the fray last year with COVID brought a lot of new faces to the game and a lot of old faces that haven't played in 10 or 15 years. So with that comes new equipment. And also with that becomes some opportunity to get the beginners and the wives of guys that have never played golf, or the kids that are interested in the junior golf camp or clinic or ladies golf school back into the fray. So we do quite a bit of lessons. We've got a ladies golf school that will start this Thursday, tomorrow in the evenings. We're trying to finish up a ladies preseason clinic that we started a month ago. It's a 3-week process, and we've been off. We started the first week in the last 3 weeks, but for whatever reason, Thursday mornings have gotten washed out. So we're cognizant of hoping to get that in on tomorrow morning to get that one rolling again with 2 weeks left, and then our ladies golf school running evening. And then what we're having now is our junior golf camp, as kids are getting ready to end out the school year, to be able to be in a junior golf camp or a program, which we host here in the month of June, getting kids acclimated to the game of golf. And we really try to go over all the fundamentals of every aspect that they'll experience, not only with, swing mechanics and fundamentals, but some on-course time, some rules and etiquette that goes along with that. So, we got some get-ready golf programs for adults that are going to start next week as well. So it's just that everything's coming full circle. The one hitch has been obviously the weather. I've scheduled some people 3 weeks ago, and we've kind of bounced based on the time and the rain that we've had those, by just not being able to get in, or the range is underwater or closed or whatever, and what have you. But it's a nice time to come together and learn the game of golf as we head into the summer and as we get progressing with these programs. So it's exciting. There's a lot of opportunities to be had with, every skill level, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate player, or an advanced player. Our staff really has you covered, and we're here to fix anything, any issues, any problems, any swing mechanics that you may have. And the one thing that our staff does probably better than anybody is we keep everything basic and simple, user-friendly, and very easy to acknowledge everything that we're trying to do. So I think the more simplified you make the golf swing, the better it is, and I think people can really bog your mind down with a lot of swing mechanics and techniques and so on and so forth. And that's one of the things that we try not to do, when it comes to, teaching the game of golf. We want to make it as easy, as basic as possible, one or two swing tips during a golf lesson, and keeping it simple is how we try to operate.
Can you talk a little bit more about your junior golf camp in June, what people could expect from it, how to sign up your kids if they're interested?
Well, for the juniors, we have two options. We have a junior camp that you can sign up online at millcreekmetroparks.org. You go to the recreation page, and there'll be a link with all of our programming, whether it's soccer to golf to hockey to tennis. We're all listed on there. You can pay online and sign up that way, or you can call the golf shop at 330-740-7112, and we have registrations available in the field house on our program bulletin board as well. One of the unique things about our junior camp that's different than others is others spend an hour with you on the driving range, send you home at the end of the day. We spend an hour with you on the driving range, and we get you out onto the golf course. So it's great to be able to learn the game of golf, but we feel that there's a huge importance of not only learning the game of golf, but being able to take what you learned from the driving range or practice facility, chipping and putting green, to the golf course itself. So one of the things that we focus in on is making sure that everything that we do has an on-course component, because you can be great on the driving range. It's a matter of taking what you've learned on the driving range to be able to score when you're out there and be able to learn what you have to do to change some things if for some reason you're struggling in a certain area of your game. So we want you to be able to make those decisions out there based on what we've taught you on the driving range, to really transition to those into a player component of it as well when you're on the golf course, to make sure that you're shooting the lowest scores as possible, plus the rules and the etiquette and what to do when your ball's on the cart path, where you take relief, how you walk, on the green, keep in line, the players that may have a line and a angle of putt, making sure you don't walk in their line, and who putts first, who putts last, how do you mark your ball. Just a little basic things that, a lot of people, you would think that they would know right out of the gate. It's just, as everybody learns, it's something new, not to ground your club in a sand trap. Just little things, where to tee off and what the options are when you're teeing off between the markers. You've got two club lengths behind that you can go as well if you have a certain club that you're trying to hit. All the little nuances of the game and pace of play is one that's important. And it's one that I got taught, as a kid, being able to play with my aunts and uncles and parents. If you're just beginning and you're playing bad, play bad fast was one that comes to mind. So, you want to make sure that you're entrusting your pace of play with everybody else, and you're cognizant of everybody that's around you, knowing the yell for, what that means, and, to get people out of dodge for possibly getting hurt or hit by a golf ball. So I think, those components of the game are certainly important for safety, and I think, teaching juniors that right out of the gate, we joke with them on, making sure that you're a hula hoop away from people, because if you get struck by a golf club in your head, it could be deadly to you, or it could cause you to get your teeth knocked out or a bone broken. So those are the things of doing this 20 years plus that, we really try to key on to ensure that everybody's, number one, safe, and they know the etiquette, from a safety perspective and what's expected of them when they take it to the golf course. From a fundamental perspective on our junior camps, we do putting, we do chipping, pitching. Contests with the kids, I think, is huge. So we have some contest component, whether it's, setting up pool noodles on our putting green for a bumper putt contest, to a game that we call Mousetrap, where we put some head covers and we put a range basket upside down on a alignment stick, working on kids' aim to get those to knock down and trap the head cover. We do some fun stuff. We do a baseball game with the kids that you hit basically a kickball type of a golf ball, or an oversized ball, where the kids will play like a baseball game against teams. Getting on the course, having a scramble, and having some opportunity to play with a little bit of competition is important as well. As just the basic iron instruction, how to hit a tee shot, how high to tee your club up, or how high to tee your golf ball up. All important components of the game in a fun atmosphere where kids want to come back. Our goal is to give the kids an opportunity to, walk away liking the game and wanting to continue to play the game. Whether it's at that competitive level or at a recreation level, coming out with your parents, to give yourself the opportunity to not embarrass yourself and be able to play. And, a lot is done on the golf course when it comes to business deals and networking and building relationships and meeting people, and that's an important component of the game. So to have a golf program that makes you well-rounded when you come out of it is very important, no matter if you're going to play at that competitive level or not. We want you to have fun, and we want you always to come back to the game of golf, and we want you to be able to have fun with your parents when you go out and play. And that's part of the family fun nights that we do too, is making sure kids have access at a very inexpensive rate, and you're out there playing with your parents and your friends, and we want you to have fun. So we want folks to walk away from the golf game thinking, hey, that was fun, and I can't wait to get back and do it again. So that's really our biggest driver when it comes to any instruction program, whether it's a ladies clinic or a ladies golf school or a Get Golf Ready clinic or the junior component or PGA Junior League, is to make sure that we have fun. My title is Director of Golf, but I would prefer to be known as the Director of Fun. We want you to come out and have an enjoyable time.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek joining us, as he does every Wednesday at this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, this weekend, the PGA Tour stops in the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, the Wells Fargo Championship. This tournament is going to be held at the Quail Hollow Club. Brian, I did some research on the Quail Hollow Club. Obviously, in 2020, the Wells Fargo Championship was not played, one of many tournaments that were canned because of COVID. So you had to go back a few years, and in 2018, the course that was a par 72 through 2017 suddenly became a par 71 in 2018. And in 2018, the scores went from single digits to 12 under in 2018 and 15 under in 2019. So what was a tournament where a very high score would be no more than 9 under par, now it's, at least for the last couple of years, double digits. And you would expect more of the same this weekend when the PGA Tour makes the stop in the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, I think you're correct when it comes to that. And, a couple things come to mind with Quail Hollow. We've had an event down there since like the 60s. So the PGA Tour is really used to going there. Used to be the old Kemper Open and then the Payne Weber Invitational after that, before it became the Wells Fargo Championship. And, one of the unique factors is obviously going to Charlotte. You've got a lot of great history there when it comes to the game of golf. But as the golf course, from a setup perspective, they've had a couple redesigns. Obviously, George Cobb was our original golf course designer there in like 1961. They had some modifications in 1986 by owner Palmer, and then Fazio came back 4 different times to get the golf course changed a little bit. He was there in 97, 2003, and then I want to say like 14 or 15, and then back again in 16. And I think, one of the reasons why he came back in 16 is they're going to be the host for the President's Cup in 2022. So they wanted to make a golf course that was match play friendly. So they did change it up. Obviously, the par was a component of that, going from a 72 to 71. I think, the length of the golf course is probably going to be really what it's known for, at 7,600 yards. Compared to any of the golf courses around here, there's only one that compares to that length, and that's Avalon Lakes. If you played the very back tees, which are the 5 tees, I want to say that theirs comes to like 76.51 or 75.51. So it's the only closest golf course to a length that you're going to see this week that the guys play. Number 1 was a par 5 that is now a 524-yard par 4 out of the gate. It was an easy birdie hole for the field. They decided that they wanted to take that out of play and just give them a long one right out of the gate to sort of set the tone. The last stretch of holes 15 through 18 are known as the Green Mile. They're basically a stretch of holes, 15's a par 5 that's 577, so it's almost 600 yards. Very lengthy for par 5 standards for the PGA Tour. But you do have some guys that can get home. Not everybody will be able to get home on 15 this week or get it close. You'll see a lot of guys laying up into that 50 to 75-yard range. But of those holes in the Green Mile, that's the only one you really have a legitimate shot at making birdie. 16, 17, and 18, you've got 506 par 4. You've got a 223-yard par 3. And the last hole was 494 yards, almost that 500-yard number again for a par 4, which is exceptionally long to be able to finish on. So you really have a better shot of losing the tournament in that stretch than making 3 or 4 birdies coming down the stretch and winning the tournament. So I think the folks that certainly fight their way through holes 1 through 14, that's where the damage is going to be done. That's where all the scoring is going to be done. Being able to hit long drives and have a ton of length off the tee, I think is going to be important, because you do need to make birdies in that group and that stretch of holes, because there's very limited opportunities 15 through 18. 15 is really the only true birdie hole. So if you think about that, it's certainly going to limit the number of contenders this week. But I think as the golf course goes, you've got 3 par 4s over 500 yards. You've got 3 par 3s that are well over 208 yards at 208, 223, and 249. Length is a premium this week. So I think if there's a couple words that describe this golf course and the way that it's going to be set up under tournament golf is going to be length, and more length. So this is a true Bombers golf course, way different than it was in the 60s when they had the Kemper Open through 1969 through 79. And of that, we'll talk a little bit about Jerry Mcgee. He was the first winner of the Kemper Open at the Quail Hollow. He had the largest purse at that time, was $60,000 when he won that. It was the largest purse on the PGA Tour. So, $60,000 today would be about 90th or 100th place. So, the PGA Tour has certainly come a long ways, but, from a golf course perspective, very different than the one that Jerry Mcgee won on, way back in the day when it was the Kemper Open. But there are still some pretty good scores. Rory Mcilroy has the course record there at 61. Tournament record is Rory Mcilroy as well. In 2015, he also shot 21 under. But the golf course has drastically changed since then as well, with Tom Fazio, stepping in to do a little bit of change in preparing the golf course for the President's Cup at Quail Hollow in 2022. So it's going to be a little bit different than the guys are used to, and I think that's why you see some of the scoring a lot different than it was. I mean, we're playing for $1.8 million, almost $1.5 million for first place, which is a big first place check on the PGA Tour, considering our tournaments have dropped a little bit from the $10 million level to the $7 million total purse. And I think a little bit of that was with COVID and companies not being able to put up as much because the profit levels with businesses going out of business or businesses not doing what they did 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I think you're going to see that continue on the PGA Tour. But this is definitely one of those ones that your best players are going to play there, and your guys that hit it a ton off the tee certainly have a large advantage this week.
And with all that being said, I think it's time once again for your Power 5 and Sleepers of the Week. And let's see who you think will take away the trophy this week in the Wells Fargo tournament. Championship.
You got it. Sleepers this week, I had one, actually had two, but Jason Kokrak is not playing this week, so I don't have him on the field roster. So I had him in my original Sleepers roster come the beginning of the week, but he decided, I guess, not to play. The other is Rory Mcilroy, and this is probably going to be the last time that I pick him for anything. I think if he doesn't break through here, based on his past history and winning the event twice, being a runner-up, the current course record holder, and winner in 15 by 7 shots where he just lapped the field, I think this is a good tournament for him to really flip the switch and get playing, because he struggled as of late. And I think if he doesn't play well there, you're probably not going to see him too much. And there's two guys, him being one of it and Phil Mickelson being the other, both of them are a point in their career that I just don't think they can get over a certain hump to be able to play, and Rory will be added to the Phil Mickelson list of not being in the Power 5 or a sleeper based on, their recent struggles, and, they're getting a little bit later in their career. So But I do have Rory as our sleeper this week. Coming in at number 5 is a guy that's won the most money on the PGA Tour at $14 million without a career win, and that's Cameron Tringali. He had a great finish this past week. One of those guys that's a top 30 guy, top 20 guy, just can't get into that winner's circle. I think he's going to be due, if not this week, over the next couple weeks, just based on how he's played. So he's our number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, talk about the king of the bombers off the tee, hitting 400-yard drives, Bryson DeChambeau. I just think he hits it too far, and I think that's going to be a huge advantage for him this week. And I think if he hits his irons well and he hits it not only far but in play, I certainly think he's going to be a competitor at the end of the week. Number 3 is Victor Hoglan. Certainly one of those guys that has all the tools. Very good iron player, probably an underrated iron player. He's won on the PGA Tour. He's skirted with some wins and some second place finishes and top 5 finishes. I think Quill Hollow's certainly suited for his game for how well he hits his irons and gets it going. Putting. Coming in at number 2 is going to be a guy that was in our top 5 last week, Corey Connors. Very solid long iron player on the PGA Tour, and I think for him this week, he doesn't hit it very far off the tee, so he's going to have a lot of long and mid irons into these 500, 450, 480-yard par 4s. I think if he continues to hit his long and mid irons as good as anybody, I think he's certainly going to be in that mix and gets another win on the PGA Tour. But he's had some close calls the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I think he's about due to break into that winner's circle again. Coming in at number 1, Webb Simpson. He's a past runner-up there. I think this would be a good event for him to kickstart his 2021 season as we head into the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. It's sort of a home game for him. Living in the North Carolina region, Charlotte, I think he's going to play extremely well. I think he hits it far enough off the tee, and he hits it accurately off the tee, that his iron play will certainly help him out like Victor Hovland's. And I think you're going to see him at the end of the week coming out victorious. One of those guys that plays well, come around U.S. Open time, which we're about a month away from. And I just think he hits it too good from tee to green. He's very conservative, and I think a lot of these holes that you have 450 yards to 524 yards, you're just playing for the center of the green. Those holes you're playing conservatively. You want to get in, give yourself a 2-putt, get out with par. You get lucky, you make a putt, you're good. Take advantages of the par 5s and the shorter par 4s. I think his game certainly suits what he's going to see at Quail. And I think the golf course, being a little bit above sea level, is going to make the ball run a little bit more. The weather down there has been absolutely perfect. So even though that you're going to see holes 524, 505, 506, 515 as par 4s, they're going to make them play a little bit shorter just because the ball has the tendency to run and the ground's a little bit firmer, similar to what we saw at the Copperhead course at Innisbrook this past week. They had a lot of areas that were a little bit charred for this time of year for Florida, but the tee shots, if you watch the rollout on them, I mean, you're looking at guys getting 50 to 75 yards worth of roll, and I think you're going to see that, similar this week as they head to North Carolina.
Now, before I throw out my pick, I have a sleeper that I want to throw out and see if this name is on your radar at all, as someone that might be able to compete this week. Shane Lowry has been very quietly playing well. Since March, he's had more than 15 strokes gained from green, which is something that only 10 other golfers have been able to do in that stretch. He's finished top 20 the last 3 out of 5 matches he's played. I really think he has a chance to top 20, top 10, really get into those names that have a chance to compete this week. But I'm picking Justin Thomas. So that's my pick, but I also wanted to throw in a sleeper and see if he was on your radar.
I do like Justin Thomas. I think he's built for this golf course. It's similar to Kentucky being across the way there. And I think Shane Lowry, I think his only pitch in this giddy up has been his putting. It's been up and down. He's had good weeks. It just needs to make 1 or 2 more putts. And I think if he does, he's certainly going to be a guy that's at getting the top 10 or top 5 and has the opportunity to even win the tournament. But he quietly is under the radar. Is one of those guys on the PGA Tour that loads up a lot of top 10s, a lot of top 20s, wins, once a year, and this could be his week.
All right, I'm on the same wavelength with Anthony, but I don't like picking chalk. So I do have a sleeper as well. It's easy to sit back and say John Rahm or Justin Thomas. I'm all on board the Will Zalatoris train. What is Will Zalatoris' chances in this tournament this week?
30-1. No, I'm kidding.
Nice.
No, he's played extremely well all year, and for a guy that doesn't really have full status on the PGA Tour, he certainly made the most of every event that he's qualified or played in, even at the major level. He had a great Masters tournament as well. He had a great Players Championship, and he's one of those guys that's been knocking at the door. He's won a bunch on the Korn Ferry Tour. I still believe he's the leading money winner on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he hasn't played on it in like 7 weeks. So that just goes to show you how well he's played in a very short period of time when it comes to that tournament. But he's definitely a guy I like. It's just he will win this year on the PGA Tour. It's a matter of when, and he could be one of those guys and wins at the U.S. Open out of nowhere, and you're like, nobody picked this guy, but he's a top 30 guy. He just plays, he grinds, he practices probably harder than anybody on the PGA Tour right now, and he's not even a full member of the PGA Tour. So, which makes it crazy to me with the amount of money that he's won. Unfortunately, going into the Masters, it's not a PGA Tour run event. So it's run by the Augusta National Golf Club, and if he gets in the British Open, it's run by the R&A. So he's not going to get the points that you would get in like the FedEx Cup and all of that stuff. Not being that full member, but he's a guy that 100% is going to win this year. I have that in my gut telling me that he's that good. He's that well liked on the PGA Tour. I think a lot of guys are pulling for him, and I just like the way that he plays, and he grinds all at 110 pounds soaking wet.
Does 13 under win this tournament this weekend?
I think you can go a little bit higher. I'm thinking probably 15. If it's playing firm and fast like the Copperhead course was playing last week, I give it another shot or two. So 15 under is probably a good number, similar to what Max Homa won in 2019 a couple years ago.
The stat I came across doing research, and the thing that got Shane Lowry on my radar, this gaining strokes from the green. So what does that mean with that stat when you say that he has more than 15 since March? What does it mean when you gain a stroke from the green?
That means the rounds that he's playing, he's putting extremely well. Now, that's where I said putting. If he putts like he has in those top 5 and top 3 finishes, it's just a matter of gaining one more putt here or there. But he's making enough of them in the tournaments that he's playing well, which is why he's playing as well as he is. On the bad end of the spectrum, when he doesn't play well, he's probably the opposite of that when it comes to the strokes gained on the putting green. Just doesn't make any putts when he needs to make them, but he's making a lot of putts when he's given himself the opportunities, or he's missing a lot of greens to the point where he's not putting for very many birdies, but he is putting a lot of holes. I want to say, I'm trying to think of Ted Potter this past week, and it would be a perfect example. He had 20 putts, and I want to say the second or third round down in Florida. 20 putts for 18 holes. You've one putted every green except for 2. You 2-putted those. So, that's, very similar, which it tells you a couple things. Number one, he's either making a lot of birdies and going to win the tournament, but he didn't, or he's missing a lot of greens and he's chipping it up there 3 to 5 feet and making those all day long. So, very similar situation to Shane Lowry, where you are going to gain a lot. And if you look at an average scorecard, whether it's the PGA Tour or whether it's the YMCA leagues at Mill Creek on Tuesday, if you broke down everybody's round, probably about 50% of their round, or just a hair underneath, is all putts. So a lot of guys hit a lot of fairways, they hit a lot of greens, but they 2 and 3 putt. So I think that's where it adds up for the average player and the guys on the PGA Tour, where they're 3-putting way, way less, they're 2-putting a little bit more, and they do make 1 or 2 more 1-putts per round. But in that 5-foot range, you got to knock all of those down, and you got to knock a large share of your 10 to 12 footers, and that's what Shane Lowry does extremely well when he's in that predicament. You're just hoping that you're hitting a lot of greens, so those are for birdies as opposed to for pars. and that's where he's struggled a little bit by missing some of those greens. So that number is sort of a misnomer because you are making a lot of one putts, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're hitting a lot of greens. You're walking off with par with that one putt as opposed to walking off with birdies. So he is starting to make a little bit of birdies, but he has to hit a little bit more greens.
Well, thank you. You learn something new every day. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, it's time for the tip of the week. Before we get to that point, I got to ask, and this is a personal thing for me. I went golfing over the weekend. There is a 18-hole golf course in Canton where there are no par fives. So you're essentially taking the driver out of the bag, and you're playing with a 3-wood and all the way down to your sand wedge, pitching wedge, and whatever. A lot of par fours, a lot of par threes, and a very short course. So I found myself, and I think it was a bad habit for me, I found myself choking up on a golf club the closer I got to the hole. Is that something that it should be nipped in the bud immediately?
It depends on how far you are away. And I would say 100 yards and in, you kind of want to do that because you want to have a lot of feel. A lot of times when we're chipping and pitching shots from 50 and 75 yards, I always tell everybody your margin for error is a lot less when you have a shorter club in your hand. So from a chipping perspective, we want to choke down towards the end of the grip. We want to limit the damage. We want to limit being, having the club too long where we're hitting behind it or we're pulling up and blading the shot. So 100 yards and in, I would say yes. You definitely want to have a little bit of feel. We're not making full swings like you see on the PGA Tour with Justin Thomas hitting a lob wedge, swinging full bore from 110 yards. You want to have half. You want to have three-quarter. You want to have controlled shots from that range. I call them feel shots. Anything inside 100, you want to have feel shots. You want to have the feel of flying at a certain distance as opposed to hitting the ball that distance as you would with a normal 9-iron or an 8-iron or 7-iron from 150 yards where you're hitting a full swing to get it to go the distance. I want to have a lot of touch and a lot of feel when it comes to around the green. So a lot of times what you'll do is you definitely want to choke down on those. But beyond that, you want to make sure that you've got probably about a half to a quarter of an inch, beyond the top hand of your golf club sticking out. And the reason why we do that is it gives you a little bit more control. Anything further down, you're going to lessen some of the distance off of the club, which is kind of one of those things that you're trying to do when you get inside, 100 yards or 50 yards. You want to lessen the distance, and the easy way to do that is shortening the club up because it's going to go a little bit shorter from a distance perspective.
All right, let's go right into your award-winning. The award is forthcoming, sir. The award-winning tip of the week. What is your tip this week, Brian?
Well, tip of the week, it relates to every shot in the bag, every golf club in the bag, and it's probably one of the most important ones, especially beginning of the year. As we're training our eyes to hit certain distances, we're also training our eyes to see the ball in between our feet when we're making a golf swing in our stance. And we'll start from a golf club's perspective. If we sat every golf club against the wall, 3-iron through pitching wedge or sand wedge, a couple things are noticeable. Number one, the lofts are completely different. As you get higher in number, the more loft is on the club, the higher you're going to hit it, the more spin, the shorter the distance that you're going to hit it. So, that's the first thing that you notice. The second thing that you notice between each one of the clubs, besides Bryson DeChambeau's clubs, which is off the charts out of this theory, now 99.9% of the rest of the golfing world falls under this. Your 3-iron would be the longest iron in the bag. Your sand wedge would be the shortest club in the bag. 7-iron is probably the middle iron in everybody's bag that carries a full set of irons now. So we're going to talk a little bit about ball position and the importance of ball position. Knowing that each one of those clubs has a different distance from the lower number iron to the higher number iron, being taller to shorter, each one of those clubs is anywhere, depending upon the manufacturer, a half an inch or a quarter of an inch in length different than the others. So my 7-iron would be the middle, my 8-iron is a quarter of an inch shorter, my 9-iron is half an inch shorter than that, and then so on down the line. So to compensate that, as we make a golf swing, each one of those clubs is made to be in a different spot in your golf swing. So 7-iron, we'll use that as the kingpin for this golf tip. 7-iron is the middle club in your stance. You want to make sure that 7-iron is dead center in the middle of your stance. Every other club will waver a half an inch or a quarter of an inch depending upon the lengths of your clubs. So as I'm looking at it, my 7-iron would be right between the centers of our feet, an iron shot your shoulders width apart. So you want to see the ball located in the middle. 8-iron is going to be a half an inch to a quarter inch behind that. 9-iron, another half an inch, quarter inch behind the 8. Pitching wedge and sand wedge and so on. Because the irons are short, as we get into that 9 pitching wedge and sand wedge, they're going to bottom out. They're going to hit at a different spot in your stance. So we want to make sure that we vary each one of these irons around in our stance so that club is making contact with the golf ball first and our divot is ahead of that spot. So a lot of times players will say, I've got all my irons in my set pretty much, other than the height, fly about the same distance. And the reason that they're flying the same distance is because you're playing them from the same spot in your stance. You're delofting your long irons and you're adding loft to your short irons. So they're all going to come out a little bit jumbled. To make sure that you've got 7 to 10 yards difference in between your 7-iron and your 8-iron is going to be based on the ball position and the importance of the ball position. As we get to that 7-iron, we talked about being the center. The 6-iron would be ahead of it a little bit, half inch or a quarter of an inch. And then the 5 would be next, the 4 would be next, and the 3, more towards the front part of your stance. Keeping in mind that when we get into the driver and the fairway woods, the stance now becomes a little bit wider and you're outside shoulders width. The driver will be off the instep of your left heel, which would be your front heel for a right-handed golfer, and the instep of your right heel if you're a left-handed golfer. So we always want that to be, the driver's the first one in the set, and as you're reading everything in sequence, like you would in a book, 1, 2, 3, 4, from left to right, you want to make sure that your fairway woods follow suit. Fairway woods will be about an inch difference. So your driver would be off the instep. An inch further back would be your 3 wood. Inch further back would be your 5 wood. Inch further back would be your 7 wood, 9 wood, and so on down the line. And then we start with the 3-iron being probably about 3 inches off the instep of your left foot. And then your irons will go 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, 7 in the middle, 8, 9 pitching wedge, sand wedge, just past the middle, but still going to be inside your foot line. So very important to make sure that you have the proper ball position with each club to compensate for each one of those irons being a different length in your set. Now, the reason we brought up Bryson DeChambeau, he has everything the length of a 6-iron in his set, which means his 3-irons, the length of a 6-iron, which is going to be shorter, and his sand wedge and pitching wedge is the length of a 6-iron, which is going to be a heck of a lot longer. So he's the only misnomer to this scale in this game, but everybody's golf swing will bottom out at a certain point with each club. We just have to make sure they're aligned properly so we get that right height on a 9-iron, a pitching wedge. So when they hit the green, they have enough backspin to stop, or they're not going higher and shorter because we have a shorter iron too far up in our stance, or going lower because we have a long iron too far back in our stance with a lot of overspin. So very, very important, very, very vital. Something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's very, very important when it comes down to hitting the ball well, hitting the ball crisp, hitting the ball in the right trajectory, having the proper backspin, especially when you get into those shorter irons, so where they're not coming up a club short and they're not coming up, hitting the green and running through because they're at a wrong spot in your stance. So, ball position, very, very vital, and it's something that we want to train our eyes, just like we talked about golf tips this spring, starting with 50, 25, 100-yard shots, getting our tempo and our timing down. Now that we've had a couple weeks, now we want to make sure that our ball position is in check, and we're good to go. We're seeing those different spots in our stance between our feet.
What a tip. This pamphlet keeps on growing. Before we let you go, because we haven't done this in a while, and we want to give you the chance to tell some people that might be new to this segment, especially this weekend, because I want to get out after all this rainy weather this week. How do you go about booking tee times at Mill Creek? What do you have going on this weekend, and what should people be excited about to get out of the golf course?
Well, you've got a great weekend to come out and play, there's no doubt. The weather looks pretty good for the weekend. On top of that, we have a demo day on Saturday with Callaway Golf from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You want everybody that's interested in trying new clubs or looking at new clubs or is interested in buying new clubs, We'll have the tech rep here with a $25,000 TrackMan unit to tell you how far you're carrying it, how much top spin, side spin, back spin you're putting on the ball. Every different shaft, every different club head that Callaway makes will be on site on Saturday. But if you're looking to make a tee time and just coming out to play, Friday, Saturday evenings, we have our family fun golf nights for a family of four, $25. Get the opportunity to come out after 5 p.m. Just call and make a tee time at 330-740-7112. And a new piece of the equation that we put in this past year that came in handy with COVID, and it's something that has helped us book a lot of tee times when the golf shop is closed, the ability to go on millcreekmetroparks.org and register for a tee time and book a tee time online. You just click on the golf link of millcreekmetroparks.org. It'll say tee times, book a tee time. Click on the link. It'll have you fill it out. So if it's after hours or you're out having dinner with your buddies on a Friday night at 8:30, 9 o'clock, or going out to the bar to have a few pops and want to play golf the next day, you have the opportunity to book a tee time online, even though our golf shop isn't open, and it's all live to the minute. So if you're in the parking lot and there's a 4 o'clock tee time open and you're in the parking lot at 3:30, you can book online and walk through the door, and it jumps in there within 30 seconds. So it's a really neat tool for the facility, and it's a neat tool for our starters on the first tee of the north and the south course to get those updates, by the minute. So plenty of opportunity to come out and play. Tee times are available for the north and south course. And then we also have the par 3 course that's starting Memorial Day weekend here in a couple weeks. We'll have the lights on Friday and Saturday evenings. But the golf has been off the charts up there with the batting cages at the Wick Recreation Area. Another great opportunity at a place to play and get acclimated with the game of golf is the par 3, the 218 holes here, and then we also do have a practice range that's available for hitting balls, taking lessons, camps, and clinics. So we pretty much got you covered. If you're interested in playing in the game, Mill Creek is definitely the place that you want to come to.
Brian, always a pleasure, sir, and hopefully the weather cooperates, so we'll have a rush of golfers heading to Mill Creek this weekend, and more importantly, hopefully you're getting me some money this weekend. We came so dangerously close last week, we just couldn't get it, so hopefully this week we get money, and lunch is on me if that happens.
We certainly do. There's no doubt about it. The sun's starting to peek through, and the weekend looks good. So definitely come out and see us, and we appreciate everything that you guys do for us at YSN. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo.
You got it.
All right, there he goes, Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. By the way, Know Your Cinco de Mayo is coming up next, as everyone thinks that this is, this is the Mexican Independence Day. No, it's not. Cinco de Mayo does have a history. I would venture to say that very few people understand what the meaning of Cinco de Mayo, except for eating lots of Mexican food and drinking lots of margaritas.
You know what? If you win this golf thing, I say that, you take Brian to dinner, of course, because he helps you with every week. But you also commit to doing a couple rounds at Mill Creek, too. So we can get you out on the Mill Creek's course.
Well, it's not that I don't do it anyway.
Give Brian some money.
It's not that I don't do that. I mean, I go to Mill Creek 3 or 4 times a year when I'm golfing.
Well, we'll double that then. If you make some money, we'll double that. I mean,
obviously, I want to go to Mill Creek to do some golfing. I just needed to work on. Boy, was I awful over the weekend. Oof. And I thought I was going to do really well because the first hole, I hit a perfect shot. Hole number 1, I think it was a small par 4. I hit a perfect shot off the tee, and I'm like, this is going to be a good day. It's the only good shot I hit the whole damn day. 18 holes of garbage. It was, it was terrible.
If you were at Mill Creek, you could have called Brian and be like, hey, I'm having some trouble. Come on out.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice. So, all right, we will take a time out. On the other side, Know Your Cinco de Mayo, the history of Cinco de Mayo, and also Vindicator sports writer Joe Simon, who happens to be the head football coach at Liberty, wrote a really interesting column about the expansion of the OHSAA playoffs.
The new head coach at Liberty. Right?
The new head football coach at Liberty.
Chet Allen,
it was
right?
Chet Allen. Chet
Did
is
he land
over
somewhere?
I believe he's going to be the D coordinator at Lakeview, if I'm not mistaken. But Joe Simon, the brand new head coach at Liberty, he also works for the Vindicator. He wrote a very interesting column about the expansion of the playoffs by the OHS $AA.
Another way, that's my joke.
Yeah.
The other thing that Dana Ballers tweeted this today, and it's not it's not official. So the NFHS has not approved this rule. It's just on the table. Their discussion for approval: shot clock in high school basketball. So it's not official yet, but it's definitely on the table for the NFHS.
There's some problems immediately with that. We'll get to that in a little bit. And we will most definitely get to that.
And then there was something else, and I forgot. We'll do some research on the break.
Bunch of stuff
Bunch
to
of
talk
stuff
about.
that I was gathering while Brian was talking. I was like, hey, what can we talk about next? And there's some other stuff, too.
Yeah, bunch of stuff to talk about. We're back in a bit. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet. A history lesson coming up next. Stick around.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, it is Know Your Cinco de Mayo history.
Welcome to the history lesson with Running
Yes,
Point.
yes, this is your history lesson. I should have been a teacher.
No.
Cinco de
God,
Mayo.
No one wants that influence.
Why not?
What?
What influence?
Oh, I don't know, Ron.
I would have been a wonderful teacher.
We've heard so many stories about you as a student.
Well, that is true. On a good note, I would have said, been there, done that, tried that, you're not going to get away with that. So, would have been good for me as
I don't know, all
to
this
be a
technology
teacher.
the kids have that you're kind of alien to, they'd probably get away with a lot.
Oh, well, that's true. They probably would have. All right. Unbeknownst, or I should say, contrary to popular opinion, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican holiday. Or, I'm sorry, it is not Mexican Independence Day. That is a misconception. Instead, this day commemorates a single battle. Go back to 1861. While the Americans were fighting their own battle, the Civil War, Benito Juarez, a lawyer and member of the indigenous Zapotec tribe, was elected president of Mexico. At this time, and I'm reading this from history.com, at this time the country was in financial ruin. Things never changed. Mexico's still dead broke. The new president was forced to default on debt payments to European governments. In response, the three huge European governments at the time, France, Britain, and Spain, they all sent naval forces to Veracruz, Mexico, demanding repayment. Now, Britain and Spain negotiated with Mexico. They withdrew their forces. But France didn't, and well, France had a guy that was kind of psychotic. You might know him. His name is Napoleon. And Napoleon had the short man's complex, and he was a real D-bag. He decided to use the opportunity to carve an empire out of the Mexican territory. So, late in 1861, the French Navy, or a well-armed French fleet, stormed Veracruz, and a lot of forces of troops. And that drove President Juarez and his government into retreat. So, this set up the Battle of Puebla, which is the genesis of Cinco de Mayo. Success is going to come swiftly, according to the French. 6,000 French troops under General Charles Latreille de Lorence. They set out to attack Puebla de Los Angeles, a small town in east-central Mexico. From his new headquarters in the north, Juarez rounded up a group of 2,000 guys, had no military experience whatsoever, many of them either indigenous Mexicans or of mixed ancestry, and sent them to Puebla, and these guys beat the living hell out of Napoleon's navy. Hence the reason why Cinco de Mayo is huge. The Mexican army, and you use the quotations there because these guys weren't army, it was more of a bunch of guys that signed up for this. May 5th, 1862, they get the victory over France at the Battle of Puebla during the Franco-Mexican War. That is the reason why Mexicans, a very small part of Mexico, celebrates Cinco de Mayo. But for some strange reason, here in the States, Cinco de Mayo is now a day to celebrate with tacos and,
it is.
and margaritas. It's a day to drink.
It's a day to drink.
It's a day to drink. And, well, I just wanted people to know the history of why you're drinking Mexican beer or margaritas.
If you go to Mexico, I mean, most of the country doesn't really take Cinco de Mayo all that seriously.
No, they're just like...
It's just that one little spot.
Yeah, it's the Battle of Puebla. All right.
And then they'll go nuts for it.
Because
the rest of Mexico
happened in their
is like,
backyard.
The rest of Mexico is like doing the...
Yeah, we're like, what do you guys do? ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? What is this?
It's a prickly subject because a lot of Mexicans think it's just been Americanized and it's a reason to,
Well, we've Americanized an awful lot of things. I mean, let's be honest.
The actual Independence Day in Mexico is September 16th.
There you go.
So if you wanted to know that, it's not Cinco de Mayo.
So
September 16th.
this battle happened now 159 years ago. It happened. And like Anthony said, not all of Mexico celebrates Cinco de Mayo, just the Puebla area, because that's where the battle occurred. So there you go.
And now, in honor of Cinco de Mayo, the rest of Running Point is going to be brought to you in Spanish. Not really, because we're not that educated.
Yo hablo piquito. Piquito español. Not happening. So, yeah, that's not going to happen.
No todos.
No. We will continue on in our not so proper English. 330-886-0813. Oh, wow. Spanish subtitles underneath, perhaps. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Okay, so Joe Simon is a fantastic writer. He is a columnist for The Vindicator, and he wrote a column today. The article, or I should say the title of the column, Expansion by the OHSAA is Puzzling.
Is this an editorial, basically?
Well, it's a column. It's not really an editorial per se, but he did hear and get some quotes from different coaches, the biggest of which is perhaps the coach that has the most cachet right now is Springfield head coach Sean Guerrero, whose teams have gone to the summit 2 years in a row. And hopefully it'll be a third year in 2021. Quoting the Springfield head coach, when we went through COVID and the OHSAA had to make decisions on where we were playing, who we were playing, what was going to happen, they totally just did away with every decision. It was up to the school system. So they want to make every decision when it's about money. But when it has to be about the kids or problems of any sort, they want to wash their hands of it. And I don't think it should just be about money. Okay, I kind of sort of understand where Coach Guerrero's going with this. Let me remind...
He's absolutely right. Every decision last year that had anything to do with the effects of the kids in the plane, the OHSAA was just like, you take care of it.
Yeah, but they...
And all the responsibility and the consequences all of a sudden got shifted to the school if something went wrong.
Okay, and I feel like I have to stick up for the OHSAA, even though I don't like to. They were in a situation where they didn't have the cards. Governor DeWine had the cards. And they were playing by Governor DeWine's rules.
But as far as where people were going to play and who they were going to play, like Sean Guerrero said, the OHSAA still had the cards.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that statement. But from the statement of they totally just did away with every decision, they didn't have the decision to make. A lot of the decisions weren't theirs. They were Governor DeWine's decisions because the OHSAA was basically told to sit in the corner and shut up because Governor DeWine had this.
The only thing DeWine handled, though, was how many people could be in the stadium.
Yeah, but he also said, hey, by the way, we can play football now. So, I mean, it was the cards weren't exactly... I mean, I agree with a lot of what was said, but let's not make it sound like the OHSAA had complete control last year. They didn't. Governor DeWine had a lot more control over everything than the OHSAA, although I will say, yes, they had the wonderful decision to make with... under the circumstances, what was it, a 6-game regular season. Everyone goes to the playoffs. I thought it was a wonderful decision. And then to top it off, if you lose, you can play the rest of your regular season up to 10 weeks, and then you're done after 10 games. I thought under the circumstances that was a good decision. But I do agree with Coach Guerrero in that, hey, look, we had this thing perfectly planned where we were going to go 12 teams, and you guys didn't even bother looking at this. Come on. We spent 1.5 years, 2 years on this. Why the hell didn't you listen to us? I understand that, and I actually agree with that. Now, personally, I think 8 teams is too much. If anything, I would sit back and say, we're not even going to go 8 teams anymore. We're going to go 4 teams from here on out. Then you run into, how do you make money?
You get some blowouts from 1 versus 8, but the 5, 6, and 17, or especially 5 and 6, there are a lot of years where 5 and 6 absolutely deserve to be playoff teams, and they can make runs and they can win some games. So I wouldn't knock it down just because sometimes the 2, 7, 1, 8 games are blowouts.
In terms of getting the money, you got to go when you got to stay with the game.
Sometimes 8 even gives 1 a game. I mean, it's not always.
No, it's
55
not always.
to nothing.
Yeah, it's not always. But I mean, look, in this scenario, let's be honest. 1 versus 16. How many times?
Now there are some regions where, not all the way down to 16, but there are some regions where 12 of these teams are going to be like 7 and 3.
Yeah,
because the football is that good.
Yeah, but. You can go 7 and 3 with having a schedule that's the equivalent of stepping over a Sunday newspaper, and then get your ass kicked in the first round of the tournament. How many? And I guess we should set up an over/under right now. There's four regions in each division, so you're looking at 28 regions, give or take. I think Division 1 may only have 2 regions. So we'll go 26 regions. 26 regions. How many 1 versus 16 matchups will we legitimately have? Because I can see where some of the 16 seeds going, you want us to play this team? No, we're out. We're not doing that. We're out. They'll go to the next round. They'll go to the quarterfinals. We're not playing this game. Because we'll get murdered in our sleep, and that's not good for our program. How many games do you anticipate the 16 seed looking back and saying, no, we're not playing this game? That's ridiculous.
I think more will play than not. I think you would see teams make that decision, but I think it would only be based on numbers. Like, we don't have enough people to play that team, period, or things like that. I think if they can play it, even if their odds are extremely high that they're going to get beat by a lot, if they can play it and they have the numbers to safely play it, I think a lot of coaches would say the predetermined rules for the playoffs, we earned a playoff spot, we're going to give the kids that honor to be, you're a playoff team.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of schools that tapped out last year because they said they wanted to earn it. I mean, Coach Seidel from Sebring could have won the playoffs, but he came out and said we want to earn our spot in the playoffs. Now, even though it's 16 teams, and some would argue that the bar's been lowered or whatever, there's still 10 teams a region that aren't making the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you get in there,
10 teams, yeah.
If you get in there, you earn your spot. So I feel like a lot of teams would feel a lot more sense of accomplishment if they are the 16 seed and they earn that spot into the playoffs, especially if they can safely play that game.
I'm betting at least a half a dozen 16 seeds look at their opponent and say, this isn't happening. We'll gracefully bow out of this tournament and go from there. There's going to be a lot of blowouts, and I'm not even talking of just 1 and 16, 2 and 15, 3 and 14. There's going to be a lot, insane amount of mercy roll games in the field of 16.
A team like Mooney, who would normally be out of the playoffs at 11 or 12, all of a sudden gets into the playoffs.
Well, that's the other side of this. Mooney and Ursuline are both Division 5, so
they're in.
Let me take that back. Ursuline was D4, Mooney was D5 last year.
They're in,
and they will stay where they are at least for another year because every even year they do the they do the division.
With their schedule, they could probably win 2 games and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Mooney goes 2-8, but they beat the right 2 teams, they're going to finish in the top 16. And then let's be honest, their schedule is not a D5 schedule.
Right.
Their schedule is more like a D3, D2, or D1 schedule. So they're going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of an advantage.
I'm really interested in the 8-9 matchup because you look at a team that finishes 8th consistently. They're always the underdog in the playoffs. They're going to be going play the 1 seed. They're going to get beat most of the times. Now all of a sudden, we're hosting a playoff game. We're the favorites. How do they switch mentally from, us against the world, we have nothing to lose, to all of a sudden now we're expected to win this game. We have to go do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like that.
Now it's no longer the top 4 teams that have a first-round home game. Now it's the top 8 teams that have a first-round home game. So, especially if you have a senior class that is pretty large, and the more games you're able to play on your home field, the more memory, good memory that your senior class is going to be left with. So, I would expect a good chunk of our area teams to get into the postseason this year. I would also expect a good chunk of our area teams to get bounced early in the tournaments this year.
If they're half of them will. It's just the way that sports work. One wins, one doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing that bothers me the most about this, I made the comment when it was first announced, and I still believe that the OHSAA is dead wrong on this. And the simple fact of the matter is you are asking 15 to 18-year-old kids to play 16 consecutive weeks of high school football.
I'm just thinking, when you say that Springfield played 15.
Yeah.
So you're one more game.
Yeah. Well, 15's bad enough.
You bring up college, and it's 14.
Yeah.
And I like the point that you make that these college athletes are more seasoned.
Yeah, and they're bigger.
At the same point, a college football game is a lot more physically demanding than a high school football game. Because the athletes are better.
You're right.
So maybe they should have less games because, they're older, they're better, they're more fit, but they're also getting hit twice as hard every down.
Well, then how do we explain the NFL having 17 games?
Well, they're getting paid.
Well, there you go. There you go. But it seems really weird to me that you would have your 15 to 18-year-old kids nowhere near as developed as the young men that you see playing major college football on Saturdays. And these kids are going to be playing, if you're in the state finals, 2 more games than the elite of the elite Division I programs that play in a national championship game. They're only going to be playing 14. Now, if it were up to Brian Driscoll, you would have a 15th game because the bowl games every team would be in a bowl game. You drop the conference championship games.
The
bowl games would be the 13th week.
You wouldn't have one extra game because you dropped the conference game, so that game would be out the window.
Well, that's true. You would have the
so at least for the schools that are playing in conference championships.
And actually, let me backtrack on something because the conference championship games is your 13th game, so it would be 15 games for the elite of the elite in college football. You would have 15 games because I completely whiffed on the conference championships. So it is 15 games where the high school kids are playing 15 if you're in a state championship game. So it was equal, and now the high schools are going to be playing, if you go to a state championship game, 1 more game than major college.
We're talking 8 teams are playing that many games.
7, actually.
7.
Well, 14.
14. Oh,
yeah, 7 times 2.
I keep thinking the dang... I'm in softball basketball mode for months. It's been 4 divisions. I made this mistake like 3 times last week.
Yeah, we got to get you out of the spring mentality here for a second.
Football 7.
There's 2 teams in each division playing a state title game. So 14 teams in the state of Ohio will play 16 games in the high school football season, which that's a lot.
You can
argue an awful lot of games.
Those teams are good and seasoned enough to handle that workload because they get there.
I don't think anybody should handle that workload. That's the only issue of that. I think it was good where
They're
it
young.
was.
They can take it. Let's go.
Yeah, until somebody blows out their knee, God forbid, and then you
college people blow out their knees too. I don't think that would be because of the workload. That's just football.
Yeah, I just I liked it at 8. I didn't even want more than 8, to be honest. I think that 8 was enough. There's a pop culture reference. If you're a fan of the 70s, 8 is enough. That just, to me, it was a perfect number. I don't like 16. I don't even like 12 because, when you get to 12, now you're telling the top 4 teams to have a bye. And, Anthony, how many coaches did we speak to last year that were just pitching a fit that their team had to have a bye? Because it ruins the whatever momentum you had in the regular season. It just... now, unless, of course, your team is banged up, then you welcome that bye.
Right.
So, it just... I'm not a fan of this in any way, shape, or form. Is it a money move? Well, like I said, it doesn't make any sense, S-E-N-S-E, but it surely does make a lot of sense, C-E-N-T-S. So, read into it what you will, W-I-L-L.
By the way, the song by Hootie and the Blowfish you were thinking of earlier,
yeah.
Thanks to Coach Seidel, we know what song that is because he texted me and he said, "Let Her Cry" by Hootie and the Blowfish.
Thank you. If the sun comes up tomorrow,
let her cry.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Nothing says
Our research
running
department.
point quite like Darius Rucker and Hootie and the Blowfish.
Our research department is top notch. Don't you be second guessing it.
Yeah. Coach Seidel, I'm digging Coach Seidel. He speaks my language. We get the culture, the 90s music, early 21st century music culture working. So this is a good thing. All right, 330-886-0813. Wow. How many teams, let me ask you, with the expansion of 16 teams per region, is it out of the realm of question to see every single one of these teams on our brick wall getting a little how do you do in the postseason this year? Because I'm looking at every single one of these teams, maybe a small handful that might have to step their game up a bit, but every single one of these teams has an opportunity to be top 16.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more YSN teams in the postseason now than we did back when it was 8. So
yeah,
of course, because you're doubling. I mean, that's
there'd be a lot of announcers working, and in a perfect world,
man, we knocked last year's postseason out of the park because everyone was playing, and our announcers stepped up, and we had almost every postseason game covered. So.
Yeah, and in a perfect world, you don't get a local matchup until deep. Right. So you give the.
But with this,
the
you're gonna have plenty of local matchups.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be.
One would assume you will have a better chance of an all local matchup in the field of 16, which would be the first round of the newly designed OHSAA football playoffs. One would think that you'll have a lot better chance of having an all local matchup in the first round. Certainly, you'll have your chances in the quarterfinals and semifinals, and every so often a district championship game like last year. I believe, was it South Range and Crestview was...
That was regional semis, right? Because South Range went from that to Kirtland.
That's right. You are correct. Because
there's no districts in football.
The regional semifinals. Yeah, because South Range lost to Kirtland in the regional championship game. Crestview had beaten Garfield in the regional quarterfinals to get to the regional semifinals. By the way, I'm just no pressure put on by
Crestview lost nobody almost, right?
Well, no, they lost to.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Garfield.
Garfield did not lose anybody. Nobody. Yeah, Garrettsville, Garfield, and we don't like putting pressure on coaches. Well, let's be honest.
Hey, but they're not a YSN team yet, so we can put all the pressure we want on it.
They're going to be They're going to be the best team in the gray tier. Or at least they'll be the team to beat in the gray tier this year. Garfield is going to be frighteningly good. I saw that team, and Crestview damn near lost to that team in Garrettsville that night. that Garfield team is frightening. They're only going to get better. That is a really, really good football team. They put forth an ungodly effort on that Saturday night. Just ran into a little tiny bit better of a team in Crestview that night. But that was the same Garfield team the week before that beat Mooney.
Right.
And a lot of folks were...
And that was a game that Mooney should have won.
A lot of folks sat back and said, "Oh, Mooney, they'll beat everyone." And no. That's Garfield is. They're going to be fun to watch this year. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. They got a lot of seniors this year, so that is a team and they're going to be that the league they came from, where they played Mogador and Southeast and a couple of other teams. There's not going to be much of a drop.
No, it's pretty much Mogador and them in the football.
Yeah, and there's not going to be much of a drop talent-wise from the division they just left to the division they're going to be coming to, because Liberty's going to be good. They were young. Liberty's going to be good.
Campbell was young last year too. A lot of their shortcomings were just because they were young, not because the talent wasn't there.
And Crestview's got more than enough talent in the skill position that's going to drive people nuts.
Incredibly coached, and that always is a step up.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fun league.
And then you look at Champion, who's also always in there. So
this is going to be a fun league, but it's early, but
Brookfield's always a tough football team too. I think it's going to be deeper than the league they played in. I think they're going to find that it's going to be more of a grind.
Yeah.
That there are more teams that can, compete with them. I mean, when their old division, in their old conference, I apologize, I don't know the name of that conference.
Well, I think the Portage.
Southeast was,
every once in a while they were good, yeah.
They went to the playoffs last year. They probably would have made the playoffs even if it wasn't everyone gets in. And then Mogador is always good.
Yeah.
But then there's this huge drop-off. And I think the MVAC tier will be a little bit deeper.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But I would say that Garfield is probably on paper the best team in that league.
Which is scary, because now we'll be dealing with a Garfield team in the playoffs that's been tested week in and week out.
Yeah.
So there'll be a sharp Garfield team instead of a team in Garfield that's played maybe two teams that can really give them a challenge.
Yeah, they will be a lot of fun.
I'd be interested to see what their out-of-conference schedule looks like this year, too.
Yeah.
If they kind of dial it down a little bit because they know their conference is more competitive, or if they still jack up the non-conference.
Well, that's the other part of this discussion. You top 16, you can go either direction on this. You can sit back and say, why do I want to dial up my competition when I can just play my schedule as is? If I play and win X amount of games, I'm going to get into the top 16. Why should I try to dial up my competition? And other coaches are going to be like, man, now I can really dial my competition up and still win X amount of games and get into the tournament. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I would much rather have a 5-win team at number 15 who has played Murderers Row than a 7-win team who's played Cream Puff City to get to their 7 wins at 15. So, I mean, that's just me.
And, man, I don't know. I'm sure schedules are already released. But, man, I hope that, because South Range and Springfield always play each other, couldn't last year because they pretty much did conference only. I would love to see that matchup this year.
I think that would be fun.
People were clamoring for it last year.
Yeah.
And it would have been a great football game between those two last year. And I want to see that rivalry renewed.
It would be fun. Again, Springfield Division 6, South Range Division 5. And look, I mean, it's May the 5th. We have 3 months before two-a-days are underway. We get plenty of time to talk football. But again, Joe Simon's article, or column, I should say, in the Vindicator, good read. Joe Simon's a very good writer. He also happens to be the head football coach at Liberty, and this just in. I don't think the Vindicator and the Tribune Chronicle are going to have much of a problem getting a quote from the Liberty coach.
No, I don't think so.
Don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, pretty sure that's a given that Coach Simon is going to give some really good quotes to whoever's covering their game. And hell, who knows? Maybe he's covering the game, writing the story, after coaching Liberty.
Can you imagine beating someone and then having to go up and ask them questions about it?
Oh, no, just
hey,
have
Coach,
someone...
I want to talk to you real quick.
Yeah.
So what went wrong for you guys?
So, the fact that we kicked your ass, what went wrong with your team tonight, Coach? Yeah, there's an awkward situation.
How do you bounce back from this crushing blow that we just gave you?
Yeah. And you do it with a big smile on your face. Yeah. Yeah. How do you bounce back from this just horrible beating that I gave you and my team gave you? How do you bounce back from this, Coach? That's good. This is where you probably get someone who is going to ask those questions, and then you just have Coach Simon write the story up. But then you get into some problems there, too.
They would not have him cover his own game.
Yeah, but seriously, how much problems do you think you could have if you're the head football coach? And Joe's in an interesting situation. Coach Simon is the head football coach at Liberty. I sincerely doubt that this would happen, but how awkward would it be if you're, oh, hey, Coach, well, you're going to write your team's victory tonight. What do you want me to write? Well, you'd write it like you would, if you weren't a coach of this team. Oh, Liberty's blew out 50-something to 14, or put in some words where the other team is going to be like, I don't particularly care for the way this is being written.
Liberty looked so impressive.
You know how...
And the other team was hot garbage.
Well, I mean, and let's be honest. Even if when a journalist is at a game, how many times have you gotten called out from people wondering, why is this one-sided? Why didn't you say anything good about...
Gets that all the time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, imagine... if the article's written by the coach of the winning team and he's saying this about the other team.
You'd have to be intentionally like 50-50 split and make sure that you're doing
exactly.
It, any little microscopic thing is going to be pointing at you because you're the coach of the team.
Exactly. And that would be the reason why the Vindicator and the Tribune Chronicle will never allow Joe Simon to do
when I do a South
games.
Range game, I'm a little bit more careful because I know everyone knows I went to South Range. So I'm like, man, I don't want to come off as anything close to...
Yeah.
We go 60-40. That's what our protocol is. When you're doing a home game for the team, the YSN is supposed to be loyal, so 60-40 is what we try to do. So we get a little bit more excited for the home team because we're there doing their game.
Sure.
But I try to make sure that there's no way that anyone can say, well, he went to South Range, so he's loving on them. Because that's,
you don't want to do
that. Especially when I'm doing South Range games. Like when you're doing the Latonia games.
Yeah, well, that's...
Or when you do Crestview games.
Yeah, when I did the Latonia-Springfield game, you would have never known I graduated from Latonia High School.
Right.
And I make a point of that. I'm just like, everyone's like, why are you so down on Latonia? I'm not down on Latonia. I can't...
But then you also... Yeah, this is something I haven't struggled with yet, but you never know. You have to make sure that you're not trying so hard at that you reverse
go
it.
the opposite way. Absolutely, yeah. Because then everyone's going to be like, "Well, wait a
you
second.
went here. Like, stop it.
Yeah, you went here. What are you doing? I mean,
Sorry.
That's,
people were telling, because I have a lot of friends at South Range to listen to the game, and they were like, "You were way too excited for Poland when they beat us at South Range," and I was like. They won. I mean, you go with what the game goes with. I mean, if Poland makes a good play, you're gonna get excited about it. I'm sorry that they beat us. Like off the mic, I'm rooting for South Range because they're my school, but I'm sorry they beat us. And I got excited for it. Once I put on the mic, where I went to school has to go out the window. And when I came on to YSN, I struggled with that because that was something that, like at YSU, you're doing YSU's game, and you're there to be a homer for YSU. So I was never trained to really be 50-50 down the middle.
This is where, and Indians fans that crucified Joe Buck in the 2016 World Series, I never understood that. I mean, well, he's rooting for the Cubs. No, he's not. He's rooting for a good story. I mean, and either way, this was going to be a great finish. If the Indians had won the ball game, gosh darn rain delay. If the Indians had won the game, Joe Buck would have been just as excited. Well, why was he going so gaga over Schwarber? Because he blew out his knee in April. He blew out his ACL, and he was able to play and basically own the World Series, I don't know, 5 months after he blew his friggin' knee out. Do you know how difficult it is to come back from an ACL? I mean, you don't come back in 5 months from a torn ACL. This guy did. May, June, July, August, September. Actually, 6 months. I short.
Do the math, Ron.
Yeah, 6 months. But it's normally an 8 to 9 month procedure, and even then, you're not really 100%. This guy came back in 6 months and was unfriggin' believable in the World Series. Of course, you're going to be excited about that. The guy's doing something inhuman. I mean, it's. You know, the last time someone came back 6 months after tearing his ACL to have his stamp on a major event, there was no last time. This was the first time that's ever happened. So, I didn't take anything.
I think when you're a fan of a team and you're watching the other team win and the announcer gets excited about it, it's heightens your senses a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, not only are you upset that your team won, you're upset that this guy's getting excited because the other team won, and it's like, well, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
But I've never thought that Joe Buck was overly homerish towards one team or another. You know, because you watch his other World Series, and it's like he's pretty split down the middle, you know. And if anything, you'd worry about that when he does the Cardinals games.
Yeah, because he grew up in St. Louis, and his dad was the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Cardinals.
And even when you watch the Cardinals World Series, I don't think he was anything more than 50-50 down the split. So I certainly didn't get that when the Royals were playing, although the Royals won, so it's a different... You know, the Royals lost to San Francisco, so it was the same thing. Like, I could have been like, man, he's loving on Madison Bumgarner so much. But the dude came off of 2 days rest and pitched 5 innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
of course
exactly.
they're going to.
I mean, you know, last time that happened, you got to go to Koufax, who went a complete game shutout in the 65 World Series or 66 World Series, and you're like, oh, this doesn't happen very often. Guy's on 2 days rest, and he's pitching lights out for 5-6 innings, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. It's, you know, in today's pitching.
Bumgarner.
Yeah, now you know how I feel with certain people with the Bills. Norwood. Even though it's not Norwood's fault. 47 yards. Kelly should have done a better job in the 2-minute offense. Just is what it is. Should have done a better job. Oh, well. All right, 330-886-0813.
I hate that Pablo Sandoval had such a good postseason when he was garbage for all the regular season.
Oh, the Panda Bear.
Like, all of a sudden, it was like, this guy can't miss. What the heck?
Yeah. I mean, I go back to 1972 when Oakland knocked off Cincinnati. There was a guy that was a journeyman up until that series. He was the catcher, Gene Tennis. The guy was average at best. He made a killing in that series. Hit 3 home runs in that series and just was a monster that series. And to this day, people are like, "Oh, Gene Tennis, that was amazing." Well, after the 72 series, he went back to being average. But for that World Series,
when the lights come on, some people turn it on. You know?
Man, he was unbelievable in that series against Cincinnati. So it happens. It happens. Ray Knight in '86 was the difference with the Mets winning the World Series against Boston. He had an unbelievably good series. Ray Knight, his career, he was okay. It wasn't anything special. He had a longevity, but he didn't do anything special. But that '86 World Series, oh Jesus, he had a great series. He definitely did. We'll take a time out. Be back with more. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the tri-state area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
"60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love."
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Points presented by the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwick. Anthony's got a smile on his face. The Royals have brought back one of the boys from the World Series title-winning Royals team.
Yeah, we signed Alcides Escobar to a minor league contract, so he'll be coming to play for the Omaha Storm Chasers, who started their season last night. And I'm sure he'll just be a just-in-case shortstop because Alberto Mondesi still on the Alberto Mondesi. Don't want to get that name wrong. Still on the disabled list, and so we want to have someone we can bring in every now and then, maybe to give Nicky Lopez a day off. So we have the Alcides Escobar, and nothing beats experience, championship experience. You bring that into your locker room to a bunch of young kids, they'll be looking at him like he's a superstar. So
you brought up the fact that minor league baseball started last night, and I got a minor league baseball first pitch app on my smartphone, and it gives everyone an opportunity to listen to the minor league broadcasts. So I was flipping with about 5 or 6 different sites to listen to some of the minor league games and just to hear the excitement in everyone's voice, because this is the first time in a little over a year, close to 2 years, that they were back in the booth doing some play-by-play. So it was good to hear the minor league baseball broadcasters doing their thing, and it was good to see some scores and just the kids that didn't get to play in 2020. Most of the kids didn't. They're now finally getting an opportunity to play, and there's a sense of normalcy coming back into minor league baseball again.
I'm excited for Bobby Witt Jr., who's in our AA affiliate, and everyone thinks that he'll have his chance in the major leagues this year at some point. And I think the starter for our Omaha team last night was like one of the top pitching prospects in minor league. I think everyone's saying he has a really good changeup. I forget his name. They were talking about him on the radio broadcast. But yeah, a lot of good things, a lot of exciting things for minor league baseball in the fold.
Yeah, 3 weeks from tonight, the Major League Baseball Draft League gets its season started, at least at Eastwood Field. The season starts 3 weeks from 2 days ago, but the home portion of the inaugural Major League Baseball Draft League begins 3 weeks from tonight at Eastwood Field. Tickets are on sale beginning Friday. Single game tickets are on sale starting on Friday. You can get your tickets by calling the Scrappers, 330-505-0000, or you can go online, mvscrappers.com, or you can visit the box office at Eastwood Field, which is right near the Eastwood Mall in Niles.
Right. So, yeah, you can have a full day. Go shopping for a little bit. Head over to a baseball game.
Yeah.
Pick up some new swag for your baseball game.
There you go. Watch fireworks after the baseball game.
What a day.
There you go. And talk about it on Thursday with you and I on Running Point. I mean, we got to throw that in because you're going to be hearing / seeing the game on Running Point.
We got to get Coach Coco Crisp on Running Point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'll be on.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely. They're going to have an evening with Coco.
I'm going to ask him about that one play in Kansas City that he's known for where the ball hit a seagull in Cleveland, right in front of him in center field. Gave Cleveland the walk-off. Well, yeah. I've never seen that before, never seen it again.
No.
It's one of those things you go, oh, come on.
I mean, it was almost as bad as Randy Johnson throwing a fastball and pegging a bird and having that bird explode.
That didn't let the run score and affect the outcome of a play.
No, it just affected a pitch. It didn't affect the game.
I think that seagull was paid off, man.
Hey, it was a 1 in a million shot, literally. Literally 1 in a million shot.
I think that seagull, I think he was wearing an Indians hat. He just went right for the ball. I saw him.
So is this the, because the seagull died, so is this the equivalent?
No, he didn't. Well, not that play. The seagull didn't die.
It didn't?
No, it just got hit like it was a ground ball. It skipped off the seagull.
Well, that kind of ruined my...
It didn't peg... It wasn't like Randy Johnson pegged the seagull.
I mean, you kind of ruined the whole Japanese kamikaze type of... does this bird become a kamikaze kind of a thing? Does the bird have its own
He
funeral
did it for the
before
honor.
we? Yeah.
He did it for honor.
He did it for the honor of the Cleveland Indians.
Honor of his family lineage.
Okay, yeah.
Because if I were to die, I will die with honor.
Yeah. And I will die knowing my Indians won a game.
Exactly.
So yeah, okay, that's kind of out there, but all right. Yeah, that's definitely something to talk about with Coco.
You listen to the game last night or watch it? Royals-Indians game?
I watched a
How
little.
about that playing in right center?
I didn't
don't think
see
I've ever
it.
seen that before.
Is this
Salvador Perez's single that?
This is the
depending
one
on
where
side-
Tom Hamilton went absolutely bananas on the air.
I mean, it was hit to deep right center field, and you know Kansas City has the digital scoreboard out there. And what center fielder Ramirez that's his name?
Yeah,
right?
Harold Ramirez.
He went up to catch it in the wall, and he missed it. It went over his glove down the wall. And then Naylor in right came and picked it up off the dirt really quick. But it was so hard to tell the way they responded, you couldn't tell if he caught it or not. And the umpires never made a call. So Benintendi was running third, and then he stopped and went back, and then everyone was so confused on what happened. The umpires never made a call, gave Salvador Perez a single and put Benintendi on third. And I think a lot of people are still confused what the heck really happened. Because they didn't say catch, they didn't say safe, they just kind of, I don't know if it was a brain fart or what.
And this just in, Angel Hernandez was
He's trending.
was the guy that is the crew chief of this crew. So
it's not a baseball season until Angel Hernandez is trending on Twitter.
I want to know how he remains employed. I just do. I want to know how he remains employed by Major League Baseball. I mean, is the umpires union really that big where a guy that is so substandard compared to the other umpires keeps his job?
Takes one to know one, Ron.
Well, this is true.
Oh!
This is so true. I mean, but I'm not doing Major League Baseball. If I were, I would probably be asked to forfeit my salary. I mean, good God, that's oof. Hamilton lost his mind when he was announcing.
Well,
this.
the Royals scored a run, so I was sitting on Twitter and watching all the Indians fans lose their minds with this a smirk on my face.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just
But even from the Royals' perspective, it took away a double, and if it was called right, Benintendi would have scored. So I think the Indians fans should have been kind of happy that it didn't. It wasn't worse than it was.
I think some folks actually thought it was a catch, which it wasn't.
It wasn't. It didn't even. It never even went into his glove. It just went right over and down that digital scoreboard, where a ball really blends in because it's white on white.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, if he didn't catch the ball, Naylor grabbed it with his hand, and as if to say, I got the ball. The ball didn't touch the ground.
Off the dirt.
Yeah,
caught it like this and then threw it in real quick.
Yeah, so it.
So, I mean, in reality, Salvador Perez should have had a double, and Benintendi probably would have scored on that play, too. So, as the Indians' perspective, it probably could have been a lot worse than it ended up. They were just mad that Benintendi got to third because they didn't understand he never touched third base, so why are you awarding him third base or stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
but he was on his way to third, so you obviously are going to give him third.
Yeah, you're going to give him third, yeah. But, like I said, it's the Angel Hernandez angle of everything, which is just, ooh, man,
and enter the Royals bullpen.
Well, when Jake Bowers is homering, there's something seriously wrong with the universe.
Not their best showing last
No, definitely not.
Giving up 7 runs in the last 3 innings, that's not good.
Yeah, like I said, when Jake Bowers is homering, you know that the world is off its axis slightly.
That was a game, the Royals should have won that game because the Indians it was a bullpen game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad about it.
Well, Henkes is the guy that had just replaced the starter that the Indians sent back. Allen is back in AAA because he
started that game.
He was
that,
awful.
Morian
the relief pitcher. Name is escaping me now. He started the game because they wanted Henkes to. They wanted Henkes. He wasn't equipped to go 85 pitches, so they wanted him to come in relief. I guess the next time out, Henkes is going to be starting clean, and He's going to get stretched out next time to somewhere in the vicinity of 85 pitches. So he's basically now your new starting pitcher. And then the next guy on the chopping block is McKenzie. And Tristan, I don't understand it.
As good as he looked last year. He's young. He'll be fine.
He will. I think he will be. And I truly believe that he will be as good as I think he can be.
It's not tomorrow.
But he just has to learn to be more consistent. Oh, my goodness. He'll go 1, 2, 3, and then the second inning against Chicago, he only gave up 1 hit, but he gave up 5 runs because he walked 5 straight guys or had a couple of outs, walked 5 guys in between those couple of outs, and then the next batter gets a grand slam. There's your 5 runs given up. It's the weirdest line I ever saw. He struck out 6. He walked 5. He gave up 1 hit, and he gave up 5 runs. It was the weirdest thing I've seen. So it just one of those things, I guess.
Walks in Major League Baseball, especially with less than 2 outs, more times than not,
they're coming back. They're going to come back and haunt you.
I don't have people throw out the number like 90% of no out walk, leadoff walk score. I don't know if that's statistically accurate.
It isn't.
But it's one of those ones that feels like it. This is like the other one. Like it feels like every time you leave the bases loaded, the team comes up and scores the next inning. It's not like statistically backed up, but it does. It's one of those things like it feels like it happens every time.
If you leave a small village on the field over a 3 or 4 inning period, you're going to lose that game.
Right.
And that's something that happens far more often than the team winning the game.
Your old school base, it's hard to string along hits. So if you're getting 3 singles, you load the bases, you got to get 4 hits to score a run. It's harder to do that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's if you're not getting a bloop and a blast, and you're trying to string some hits together, assuming that 3 scores a run, because at some point you're going to have the runner either go from second to home or first to third on the second hit. It's tough to string together 3 straight hits. Now, if one of those hits happens to be a bomb, okay, now we got runs on the board. But if you're not homering, yeah, it's tough to string some hits together, no question. All right, we'll take a timeout and we'll preview.
We'll look at what games we still have tonight and what games are canceled and try to.
Indeed, that's all coming up in a bit. Stick around.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, Sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back as we close up shop on this Wednesday edition of Running Point. Anthony, what do we got going on tonight on the network?
Well, we said earlier, all games at Scene Park tonight are canceled. The game that I was supposed to do at Ursuline, which is at YSU, has been canceled against Walsh Jesuit. I was really looking forward to that, so I'm bummed. Field conditions was the reasoning given for that cancellation. You got to remember, Ursuline doesn't make that decision when they're scheduled at YSU. They're really at the discretion of what the YSU field crew wants to do. South Range softball is playing at home against Lakeview, and Ian O'Brien will have the call there. According to our games at a glance, Salem is still hosting Canton South. And I think South Range against Girard baseball has been axed. So as far as I know, and Power Hour will keep you updated is because the day will go on. But South Range hosting Lakeview will be on the network, and that'll be softball. So.
Alrighty, so limited amount of baseball and softball, unfortunately, due to Mother Nature. Now, hopefully, the rain is gone, and tomorrow should be better because the sun's supposed to come out, and hopefully we'll get more games.
The sun will come out?
Yeah, the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
All right, there you go. We can't do any more because we'll get copyrighted.
Well, that's true. All right, we're back tomorrow. We love you tomorrow, and you're always a day away.
Jeff Thoreau is going to be calling in tomorrow and talk about the tournaments at 12:30, and then we'll have Steve Ward to call in and talk about Fitch's AAC championship, and he'll also be talking about tournaments as well.
And it's cool that we have him on before the season started, and now we have him on celebrating an AAC championship. So Coach Ward will be calling in tomorrow. That'll do it for the show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll do it again tomorrow, noon to 3, Running Point on